Shalom, y'all. I'm on this live here today because, at this very moment here, because a brother wanted to debate who the Gentiles are. He wanted to prove and show us who the Gentiles. Brother Phoenix don't know what he's talking about. The translators don't know what they talking about. And so this is for James 1:1. James 1:1. We live for you, brother. Please don't waste our time. And I issued this challenge out for my Israelite scholars. You know, you can go on and take as much time as you want and go through the slides and go through this PDF and answer these questions for me. Thank you for your participation. But he wants to show us who the Gentiles are. He believes the Gentiles are Israelites. And tomorrow, y'all willing, tomorrow or Friday, the next couple of days, y'all, I'm gonna show y'all where it come from. I'm gonna show you where this doctrine comes from, and I've been holding on to this. Like, I'm gonna show you where it stems from. I'm gonna show you where you got your breakdown from, and it didn't come from one West. It comes way before one West. Early 1900s, late 1800s. I'll show you where this breakdown comes from. It's like a lot of some of these breakdowns come from the Mormons. Some of the breakdowns come from, I remember Elder Tahar talking about it was this green book that comes from the not the 7-day Adventists, but the Jehovah's Witnesses that some of the elders used to have. Grace and peace, Spooky Apologetics. Waiting for James 1:1. Let's see if he pops up. We give him about 20 minutes. And then James, listen, if you don't pop up and you talking crazy in the comments, and I'm just gonna ignore you, man. You're gonna lose a lot of credibility with me. The Puritans too, also, yeah. Because we have to understand that brothers, and they were. I'm not even gonna say they was doing this maliciously, but you got to think about the literature that was there and what they were looking for. They're looking for Israelites in America. They're looking like Israelites in the slave trade. They're looking for Jews in America. They're looking for certain information, and what was the literature that they would come about? What was the literature that they would find in the early 1900s, late 1800s? Who was writing the literature? But again, Shalom, DeAndre Duke. I'll show you where it comes from. And people have shown you where it comes. Even Vocab. I got a couple clips from Vocab. He showed you where it comes from, but you didn't want to hear it from Vocab. But I'm going to give you some of the doctrine coming straight out of the horse's mouth. And you're going to sound just like these people. You're going to sound exactly like them. Because all you're doing is regurgitating. You have no idea. You don't know the methodology. You really don't know what you're talking about, but you've rehearsed something, and you're just regurgitating information. All praises. There my brother go. Shalom, Mark. Is this James 1:1?
Yes, sir. Hold it.
You said yes, sir. I can barely hear you.
I'm trying to get my audio. I get the other video stop playing so I can hear what you're saying.
Got you.
Okay.
So you was in the comments. I seen you pulled. You feel Paul went to the northern kingdom. Is that your stance?
Wait, say it again.
Who you feel Paul? Who you feel the Gentiles are?
Those are Israelites.
The Gentiles are Israelites. Can you be more specific? Are they northern kingdom Israelites or they? Just want to know.
Well, according to James 1:1, 12 tribes are scattered abroad. So I can't say it's just northern kingdom. It'd be the 12 tribes were scattered abroad, not just the northern kingdom.
Okay, so James writing to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. So James know where they at.
Of course.
Okay, he understands they scatter. He knows that where they at. He feels his writings will reach these people.
Of course.
Okay, so you don't know whether it's
Because
northern kingdom or. Go ahead.
no, it can't be northern kingdom because again, James is writing to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. So if James, the head of the church, is writing to the 12 tribes scattered abroad, he obviously sent men from Christ Church in Jerusalem to those people, to those 12 tribes that are scattered abroad. And obviously, these people came back and told them where they were.
And he told them where they were. So when
Go ahead.
When did the northern kingdom come back from Assyria?
All of them didn't come back from Assyria.
Okay, so just a remnant that didn't go in, maybe kind of held back.
Yeah, I mean, some of them had migrated down to the southern kingdom, as we read.
And they migrated down. Okay.
Migrated down. Okay. And then, of course, in the book of Acts, those that came for Pentecost in these different lands, those would be some of them too in these different lands that's still keeping Torah, that's coming back to keep Pentecost.
Okay, so everybody that kept Pentecost. Let's look at that. Let's look at Acts chapter 2. Okay. They were dwelling at Jerusalem, Jews, devout men. Oh, hold on. Y'all can't see my screen. Shalom, brother Chris Briggs. They will dwell in Jerusalem, Jews, devout men out of every nation. Will you consider the 12 tribes those Jews out of every nation? Like when it says Jews, does that encompass all 12 tribes?
That mean, yeah. I mean, Jews that are scattered abroad, yeah.
Okay. Nah, this was the noise abroad. The multitude came together. They were confounded. Let me see where we going. They were behold, and not all that speak were Galileans. How hear we every man in his tongue wherein we were born, Parthians, Medes, Amalekites, dwellers in Mesopotamia, and in Judea, Cappadocia, Pontus, Asia, Phrygia, Pamphylia, in Egypt, parts of Libya, Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, Jews and proselyte. What is a proselyte?
Convert.
A convert. What's a convert?
Someone to convert from one way of living to another way of living, or belief system into a different belief system.
Okay. Would this be a heathen converting to being a Jew?
No, you can't convert to be a Jew. All you can do is convert to live their lifestyle, but you cannot become a Jew. That's a nationality. You can't switch nationality.
Okay. Okay. Um, you familiar with Esther, where it says they became Jews? What do you speculate that is?
They took on the Israelite way of life.
They were living as Jews live. And now they're not calling themselves heathens or Egyptians or Amalekites. They're calling themselves something else, a proselyte or a convert. So you believe in proselytes and converts. That's great.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I wouldn't hold to that word. I wouldn't hold to that word Jew. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because that's like it depends on what context you use it. Because um, the Israelite didn't call themselves that. That word that's a word that came around in our time, and it goes back to basically converts. People that said they're Jewish and they're Jew, we know they're all converts. So that word kind of more go to convert in our time, because that's not an original word that goes back to the first century.
Are you talking about the proselytes or the converts, or are you talking about the term Jew? You got a problem with the term Jew?
The term we know that the J was not in the English language until the 1600s. So when you look at the word that they translate Jew in the Bible is really Judeans or Idunian people that dwell in the land of Judea. That's what the word is really targeting, not targeting the entire nation, but those that live in the land is what that word was originally targeting.
And that was coined after, because we were the only ones came back from Babylon in captivity. The Southern Kingdom was the only one operating. Now I agree with you that Northern Kingdom slid down. Those who wanted to be, everybody didn't leave with Jeroboam, and everybody didn't get taken into captivity. Some people, when Hezekiah wrote a letter to the Northern Kingdom, compelling them to come back and keep Passover before the rest of them were taken. Some of them did come back, and we see I want to say the sister was an Asherite that was at the the circumcision of Christ. So we see Northern Kingdom in Jerusalem, but that was the only thing operating, because now you have Samaria and you have Galilee in operation. Now, your grievance was that, well, I don't know how you have a grievance with saying that these people went to Gentiles when we already have Gentile converts in Acts 2. And even prior to that. So I don't know how you could have an issue saying, well, these Gentiles that they're going to aren't Gentiles, when you agree that there's Gentiles here that's been converted in Acts chapter 2 that are at the Pentecost.
When did I say that?
When did you say what?
When did I? What you saying just now?
Why are we here? That's why you in the comment. That's what the whole day was about. You were saying that you chose Acts 11. Was that not you, or this not you? Maybe I'm talking to the wrong person.
That's me, but you didn't answer my question.
I did answer your question.
Oh, you didn't.
Check your comments. Ask it again. Ask your
In
question
Acts
again.
chapter
Ask it for the audience.
Okay. Why are the followers of Jesus Christ, the one that are the apostles and taught by the apostles, why were they teaching only Jews in Acts chapter 11, verse 19, if Jesus Christ gave them a commission to go to everybody?
Right. Now, you just agreed in Acts 2 that we are proselytizing and making converts of Gentiles. We're doing this before
No.
Christ even gave the commission.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely. But what you are assuming is that you asked me what does the word um proselyte mean in Acts chapter 2, and I said it meant convert. That's what I said it meant.
It said,
That's what you asked
are
me.
you familiar with the verse where Christ told the Pharisees, y'all travel land and sea to make one proselyte?
Yes.
Okay, so Pharisees were doing this before Christ was on the scene. Before Christ was even born, we were going out and converting people and making them proselytes. You agree?
Yes.
Okay.
But
Now,
here's the problem. You are assuming that the Pharisees was converting non-Israelite. That's what you're assuming they were doing. You're not assuming that they were converting their dispersed abroad brothers to their oral Torah and their way of doing things. That's what they were doing.
why would that be a convert?
Because they are converting them from one way of living to the Pharisees' way of living. The Pharisees lived according to their oral Torah. That's why Christ was attacking them all the time about their oral Torah, making the people follow the oral Torah, which was violating God's written Torah.
Right. I get what you're saying, but you're saying, let me just help you so you'll know that I understand what you're saying. You're stating that a proselyte could be an Israelite that's just coming back to Torah. You would have to show me an example of that. Why wouldn't it? Because we've all fallen short of Torah. That would be all Israelites after a Babylonian captivity. We'll all be converts after the Persian captivity. We'll all be converts after Egypt. We'll all be converts after the Syrian captivity. We've all fallen short and had to come back to Torah, but we didn't come back as a proselyte or a convert.
No, I'm saying you're talking about coming back to written Torah. I'm saying that the Pharisees was bringing people to oral Torah, not written Torah, oral Torah, which violates.
Well, I'm not dealing. All I'm dealing with the fact that Christ has identified these people going out to get converts, which we've agreed on. That me and you agreed on that were heathen that were coming to live as the Jews, to live according to Torah, just like we seen in Esther.
No, we didn't agree upon that in Acts chapter 2. You simply asked me what does the word proselyte mean in Acts chapter 2, and I said it just meant convert. That's what I said it meant. I never said that those were non-Israelites.
Well, Acts chapter 2 says all these Jews from all of these nations, Jews and proselytes. So you saying the Jews and the proselytes are the same thing?
Yeah, the Jews are the one that's living in the land, and the proselytes were the other.
It said Jews from all nations.
Okay, were they Jews living in the land?
There were Jews in the land, but Acts 2 talks about Jews from all nations who spoke different languages. And they heard everybody in their language from where they were born.
I don't understand your point here. I'm making a simple point. I don't understand what you're saying.
You kind of breaking up.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
okay, I don't know what you're saying. I'm making a simple point that the text is separating those that live in the land, because when we read in the gospel, we know who that they call the Jews are. The Jews are referring to as the religious leaders when you read the book of St. John's. And then the proselytes, the converts, as I understand it, are the birth of God Israelites. They're the converts that's coming from these different nations to keep Pentecost.
Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to Acts 2. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. Now, when this was noise abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying to one another, Behold, are not all these which were speak Galileans? And how hear we every man in our own tongue wherein we were born? Parthians, Medes, Ammonites, dwellers of Mesopotamia. And these Jews are from all of these places, born and raised in these places that speak these languages. They're hearing the apostles speak, who they know are Galileans, and saying, how do we hear them in our language? These are Jews scattered abroad to the 12 tribes scattered. These are these people scattered abroad from every nation under heaven. And they're coming in for Pentecost. They're coming in for these annual feasts, as Torah has told them. Greeks, Arabians, we do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of God. So for me, I see all of these people, all of these Jews are from the 12 tribes scattered abroad. I mean, are from all these nations that are scattered abroad. They've come to Pentecost. They've been raised in Egypt. They speak Arabic. They speak what the Amalekites speak. They speak what the Mesopotamia kind of. They speak with the Pontus in Asia. They're speaking these languages. They don't speak Hebrew. And even the Galileans, even Peter was mocked for his speech, because he didn't speak. His Hebrew was funny. The Galileans' Hebrew was funny. So, and then we have all of these from these different nations. And then we have here in the parts of Libya, strangers and the strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes. These were Jews and proselytes. Are you there, my brother?
I'm right here. I'm listening to you. I'm letting you speak, bro.
Well, I was, I just gave my premise on that. Like, I don't know how you're saying that those proselytes are Israelites. But did you have anything else on the Acts 2? Because I want to get to that Acts 11. What you say, verse 9?
I give you my understanding on the Acts chapter 8 that those proselytes, those converts there, are Israelites.
Okay, so you saying proselytes are Israelites now?
These ones right here.
Acts 2 proselytes are Israelites. Okay, so okay. Yes. All right. Well, I firmly disagree with that. Also here, what verse was it? 11, Acts 11, and that you had the question on why Christ gave the commission, and then why are they only teaching Jews? Correct. Yeah, Christ gave the commission to go to all nations.
Yeah, if Christ, I was trying to explain. Can I explain or no?
Yeah, nah, yeah. That's what I'm kind of waiting on. Yeah.
There is two problems here. Is that first of all, if Christ ever gave it such a commission to go to all nations, for one, he'll be violating the Torah. If he gave such a commission, it will be a direct violation of God's Torah. In Deuteronomy chapter 23,
Mm.
it specifically says that a Moabite and an Ammonite shall not come into God's congregation unto the 10th generation. It says forever. So it eliminates a Moabite and an Ammonite all the way back in Deuteronomy chapter 23 that they cannot come in. It says forever. It's repeated again back in Nehemiah's time. It's repeated again.
Mm.
And then we also have all the Amalekites. The Amalekites, according to prophecy in Numbers chapter 24, is that their future is that they die forever. So we have three nations that has been eliminated already from the Torah itself. If Christ comes in, he says now, go to all nations. He's saying you to go to a Moabite, to go to an Ammonite, and to an Amalekite, which the Torah said they can never come in. He will be violated if he does something like that. That's why I'm saying he never said that. And we also see in Acts chapter 9, not 11, verse 19, they're teaching Jews only again. If he gave such a commission, this what they're doing in Acts 11:19 is a violation of his commission that he would have given.
Okay. And you so you're saying that y'all can't, he can't do what he want to do. If he says it here and he does something else, it's a violation. He can't violate his Torah.
I'm talking about Christ. Christ will be violating God's Torah.
Who sent Christ? What is Christ? Christ is Yah's word, correct? Is he the word of Yah?
Yes.
Okay, so he can't violate it?
No.
Okay. Who was Ruth? Was Ruth a Moabite?
Yes.
So Ruth was a Moabite, but you just gave this whole extensive, thing about the Moabites not being able to come in, but Ruth is in the lineage of Christ.
What that has to do with the Torah says?
What is the congregation? Why did you even say that? Why did you say that the Moabite can't come into the lineage into the congregation? But we see Ruth, who's a Moabite, coming into the congregation. Not only that, but our forefathers have written her in history that we will speak on her name forever. We're sitting up here talking about a Moabite.
But that's a violation of the Torah. That's Israelites doing that. That's Israelites violating God's Torah.
That's Israelites doing that?
Yeah.
So you're saying that shouldn't be in the Bible?
No, I'm not.
We should take that out. We shouldn't write about Ruth?
I'm not. I ain't say that.
Any in the lineage of Christ, we shouldn't write about her? Even in the ain't she in the Hebrews 11? Ain't she in the people of faith?
There you go the problem, brother. You keep trying to conflate things out that I'm not even saying. All I'm saying to you is what the Torah says. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just showing you your flaws in your methodology.
You're not showing no flaws in methodology. You're pointing out what
I am. You've already changed what a proselyte is. You changed it. You changed your definition in the midst of this debate.
Wait a minute.
And now you're changing your whole stance on this whole Moabite situation. You didn't have to bring that up. You brought it up.
I'm not changing my stance. What are you talking about? I'm not even changing my stance. I point out to you what God said. You telling me what Israelites did. I'm pointing to you what God said.
Because you don't understand what he's saying.
What did he say?
You can't understand what he's saying if a Moabite is in the lineage of Christ.
Wait a minute. So is it possible that Israelites violated God's command about the Moabites? Is that possible?
That story ain't about what Israel did. She's in the lineage of Christ.
That is what Israel did because God said they can't come in.
She's in the lineage of Christ.
But then, there you go again with this. You keep telling me what Israel did, and I'm telling you what God said not supposed to happen.
Okay, and he said a lot of stuff not supposed to happen, and it happened.
Okay.
It says a lot of things that we weren't supposed to do, and we did it. He said he was supposed to kill. He said he was gonna go kill. He told Jonah to go prophesy that Assyria was gonna be destroyed, and then he repented.
You're going around in circles here because I'm getting back to what God wants to happen. You keep bringing up what Israel did, and I'm bringing back this is what God wants to happen.
I'm bringing up what the Lord did and what He said. That's what you bringing up.
You can't prove the Lord. You can't prove that the Lord brought in Ruth. You can't prove that. Prove it.
It's in the text. I don't what I gotta prove that when it's in the text.
God brought Ruth in. Show it to me in the text when God brought Ruth in. Show it to me in the text.
Brother, it's this the whole story of Ruth. It's called about this is.
So you can't prove it. You're making claim you can't prove.
No, it's very clear, brother. It's the story of Ruth. You don't know the story of Ruth,
brother. Can you show from the text where God brought her in? Yes or no,
brother? She's in the lineage of Christ. You don't know the whole situation with her and Boaz, and how Boaz ended up marrying her.
Brother, there is also a Canaanite in the lineage. Is that correct too? A harlot?
Rahab.
There's a harlot in Christ's lineage. Is she supposed to be there?
That's another point.
A harlot in Christ.
I don't know if she in the lineage, but she's spoken of great faith.
He's in the lineage.
That's another point.
She had Boaz. My question to you: does she belong in the lineage? Yes or no?
Yes, that's why she's in the lineage.
Wow.
You wouldn't be there if it wasn't. And that's like, so you don't believe the text. You believe somebody just wrote that in. The Israelites weren't supposed to write that in there.
I'm not saying it. I'm showing you that the Torah says to put a whore to death. She's in it because Israelites are violating God's Torah. Is what I'm saying to you. That's why he even got in.
Oh, you in there because it's a negative. You saying the Ruth story is a negative, and that's why it's in there. It's in there to tell us don't ever do nothing like Ruth. And Ruth don't ever do nothing like Ruth and Naomi and Boaz.
It's violating the Torah. That's why. But
why are they in the lineage of? Why are they in the Hebrews 11 in the great people of faith?
Because Israelites violated the Torah.
So Israelites violated by writing that in there?
No, by marrying them. By marrying outside of their nation.
Okay. Let's go to your Acts 11 point. What you were saying here, brother? You said Acts 11 and
19, brother.
19. Did you read 18?
No, I didn't read 18. My question was in 19.
Your question was in 19, but you need to okay. Now they which were scattered abroad unto persecution that arose about Stephen traveled as far as Phoenix and Cyprus and Antioch, preaching the word to none but Jews only. Right? That's your point. Why are they only teaching the Jews? That's why I told you to read 18. Church of Antioch. Let me see where I can start at. I started 13, and he showed us how he had seen an angel in his house, which stood and said unto him, send men to Joppa and call for Simon, whose surname is Peter, who shall tell these words, whereby thou and all thy house shall be saved. And as I began to speak, the Holy Ghost fell on them as on us at the beginning. Who is the them? In verse 15, the Holy Ghost fell on them. This is
Cornelius
Cornelius.
and the people.
Okay, gotcha. Cornelius
Yeah,
and the family, right? As
yeah,
it fell on us. Who is the us at the
the
beginning?
apostles.
The
The apostles.
apostles. Okay, and then what happened in Acts 2? So there's a distinction here between the them and the us. You agree with that? Do you believe Cornelius was a Gentile?
No,
You don't believe that? Wow.
no. I mean,
Okay.
I believe he's an Israelite. Let me be clear. Let me clear. I believe he was an Israelite.
You believe he was an Israelite? You believe he was a Jew?
An Israelite.
An Israelite. Okay. Then remembered I the word of the Lord, how that he said, John indeed baptized with water, but you should be baptized with the Holy Ghost. For as much then as God gave them the gift as he did unto us. Why is there a distinction? Who believed on the Lord Jesus Christ was what was I that I could withstand God? When they heard these things, they held their peace and glorified God, saying, then have God also to the Gentiles granted repentance of life. Now you went down to 19 to try to establish that they only, well, it's just Jews only. But there's a narrative to the Gospels and the Acts. It's a story. You have to continue to read. Now, the Cornelius incident, I don't agree with you. And, you want to debate that, we can debate that, if Cornelius is an Israelite or not. But it's clear we can go to Acts 15 and discover this. But before we go to Acts 15, you got anything before I don't want to just keep going, man.
You still
You got anything to say?
You haven't addressed my question in 19 yet.
Well, I just showed you in verse 18 that he was talking to a Gentile. And then they traveled to some wait a minute. Then they traveled to these other nations, Phoenix, and they was only talking to Jews at that time, right? And then we keep reading. And this is what I put in the thread. Acts 13. And Cornelius is a pivotal point. Because Cornelius is the ensign, or where the dispensation is changing, where the doors is opening for these Gentiles, and Paul. Paul's not even in the picture all the way yet. His ministry hadn't started yet. But I'm gonna take you to 13. I'm gonna take you to 15.
Paul ministry started in the 9th chapter.
Paul ministry is to who?
To disperse the broad Israelites.
What did the text say? You got to disperse abroad Israelites. That's in Acts 2. But the text say he's a minister unto the Gentiles.
Who are dispersed abroad Israelites?
You made that up.
Okay. I didn't make.
Acts 13.
I showed you that you keep saying that the word Gentile is Greek, and you were wrong again.
Look what the headliner say right here.
Stuff, bro. You keep conflating things. I keep telling you that the word Gentile, it comes from a Latin origin. It is not Greek.
I don't. It's a translation. The word Gentile for me, it can mean. Watch this. It can mean. Let's delete Gentile and let's say non-Jew, and that was a word created in 2025 by Brother Phineas. Non-Jew. And I'm translating the Bible, and where I see ethnos at, and I feel like it's a non-Jew, I type in there and I put non-Jew. It don't matter when I wrote it. The translator put a Gentile in there in the definition of what they thought a Gentile was. And when they wanted to put people in there, and when they wanted to put nations in there, that's what they put in there.
And non-Jew will be false. The Greek word is ethnos, and it goes back to the Greek word, to the Hebrew word goy. And the Israelite can be called a goy. So you saying it's a non-Israelite is wrong.
Does it go back to goy?
Yes.
Does it? Okay.
The Greek
okay.
ethnos,
and a goy is a what? And what is a goy?
Goy
Do I need to get my
translates to nation.
Zondervan? Do I need to get my
Get
lexicon?
it. Like you scaring me. You're not scared. I've done the research. I know what I'm talking about. You haven't done the research. You don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. So let's look up Goy. Let's find a verse. Let's find a verse with Goy in it. And so now this is turned into you trying to redefine Gentile. And that's why I'm gonna show y'all the video where all of this comes from. I'm gonna show you where the information comes. He and you gonna see. And I'm gonna clip this, and it's gonna sound exactly like what these folks were saying in the 1800, 1900.
Let's see.
I'm trying to find a verse that I know is in there.
Well, Genesis 35:11, where he talks to Jacob and he says, a company of nations shall come from you. It's the Hebrew word goy. A company of nations.
Okay, so what is the nations? What is the nations? What does that mean? What's it? Genesis 35, what?
The Hebrew word for nations is goy right there. He's telling him from Jacob shall come from you nations.
Contextually wise, what does that mean?
It simply means nations. It can mean race or people.
What verse were we at? What verse?
That was Genesis 35:11, I think it is, when he's speaking to Jacob about his name being changed to Israel. He said a nation and a company of nations shall come from you. The Hebrew word is goy that's there.
Gotcha.
So we see that Israelites are called goy right there in that verse. The same Hebrew word.
Yeah, they call goy. They called a nation. Israelites are called a nation.
Right, so they can be called a goy. So you have
okay. No. They could be called a nation, but they're not gonna be called a heathen.
Brother, the heathen is the Greek word ethnos or ethene, which goes back to goy.
But an Israelite ain't gonna be called a heathen though.
One more time, brother.
So heathen goes back to go. No, because you know that's y'all problem. Y'all not understanding that it's multiple words here. So it's used for goy, it's used for nations, it's used for people, usually of non-Hebrew people.
All right, so
it's used for, watch this, it's used for Gentile, heathen, nation, and people. So a goy could be Israelite when it's talking about a nation and a people, but it's not going to be a Israelite is not going to be a heathen and a Gentile. So these are the four uses of the word goy: nation, people, heathen, Gentile. For a nation, yeah, an Israelite could be a nation. An Israelite could be people. But it's not going to be used for Gentile and heathen. And these are the translators translating this and putting in Gentile where they feel it's talking about the other nations, and putting in heathen when it's feel it's talking about the other nations. No, but brother, in your particular verse that you gave us, that Israel will be a nation, why they didn't put Israel will be a heathen? Because contextually it doesn't match.
Heathen is the Greek word ethene or ethnos, which goes back to goy.
Brother, I'm agreeing with you on that.
You're not agreeing with me.
So why didn't the translator put heathen right here?
Brother,
answer my question. Why didn't the translator put heathen in what we reading? Genesis 35. Let me go back.
I'm making a simple argument that is going over your head. I don't
Genesis
know.
35, it says, God said unto him in 11, I'm a God Almighty, be fruitful and multiply, a nation in a company of nations. Why they put it? Why didn't the translator put a heathen in a company of heathens?
How would I know? He asking me. I'm telling you what the word means.
Because it don't make sense.
It
Because
don't make
Israel
sense.
ain't finna be no heathens.
It don't make
Israel
sense.
is gonna be a nation. So the translator put this right and put nation there in a company of nations. And where it feels it's a Gentile and a heathen, they put heathen and Gentile. But you want to go back and say no. This is what you're doing. You want to go back where the translator put heathen and Gentile. You want to say no, that can be a nation.
I'm not saying
That can be Israelites.
Brother. The word that's heathen is the Greek word ethin or ethnos. It's the same word as goy in the Hebrew. You arguing over some words
what you're doing. Now I know what I'm saying. You think goy has an extension of words that can be used and translated into Gentile is not a Hebrew word. Correct?
I didn't say it. I never said it was. I told you that Gentile is a Latin word.
And what does it mean in Latin?
It means of the same race, nation, or people. That's what gentilis means. Gentile comes from gentilis.
Let me. Where am I Zondervan, man?
That's the original meaning of the word.
My goodness.
Google it. Since you got to do no real research, just Google it then. Google the original meaning of Gentile. It'll pop right up and show you that was just what it means.
A term refers to a person who is not Jewish. It is often used to describe individuals from non-Jewish nations of faith, particularly in a Christian context. The word has its origin in Latin, meaning the same people. There go your definition right there. In Latin.
That's the original definition.
Got you. Meaning the same person or nation. And has evolved to denote anyone outside of Jewish identity.
That's what
in biblical context, Gentile often refers to non-Israelite peoples. And the term has been used in various religious and cultural contexts to describe non-Jewish people.
That is a lie. That's a lie.
Brother, you told me to look it up, man. And so why I'm like,
correct.
Now,
correct.
Let's say that's a lie, right? And let's use your context. Let's use your context where we see Gentile here. It means same people.
I want to be
you say what now?
The part where it says, I'm clarifying the part where it says it can be a non-Israelite. That the part is a lie.
The point where it said it can be a non-Israelite.
Yes.
Okay. Where we showed the people, man. You know, the people see. You know, we don't have to. But I really want to go back to this Acts 13, and then we'll go to this Acts 15. My bad, y'all. Get me together. Get me together. Get me together. Appreciate it. I ain't have no sound. I unplugged my mic on accident and then club, the StreamYard. Cut my mic off. I'm gonna get to y'all brothers, man. Let me just finish this point out. And I wanted to go to the Acts 15. I didn't have time to get to the Acts 15. But 42, I was asking. It says when the Jews were going out of the synagogue, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached unto them the next Sabbath. And when the congregation was broken up, many of the Jews and religious proselytes. So right here in 42 and 43, we got Gentiles, Jews, and religious proselytes. My brother's going to say all of these are Israelites. Followed by Paul and Barnabas, who speaking to them persuaded them to speak in the grace of God. The next Sabbath day came, almost the whole city came together to hear the word of God. But when the Jews saw the multitudes, that they were filled with envy and spake against those things which were spoken by Paul, contradicting and blaspheming. Then Paul and Barnabas waxed bold and said it was necessary that the word of God was first should be have spoken to you. All right, that's what, to the Jew first, then to the Gentile. That's why you see that in Acts 11. It should be spoken to you first, but seeing you put it off from you and judge yourselves unworthy of everlasting life, lo, we turn to the Gentiles. And then we see the turning to the Gentiles. But it started too, we seen a part of it starting too with Cornelius. And when the Gentiles heard this, they were glad and glorified the word of the Lord. And as many as were ordained to eternal life believed. And the word of the Lord was published throughout all the region, but the Jews stirred up the devout and honorable women and the chief men of the city and raised persecution against Paul. Why are they raising persecution against Paul? If they just were out here waking up the Israelites. Why are they other brother dipped out. But he come back on. I just wanted to get that point out. And okay. I just wanted to get that point out to answer his question, which I put in your comment thread. But that's why, brother. And if you continue to read and we go into Acts 15, you'll see the correlation to Amos chapter 9. And then you're gonna have to make a stance on if Paul is or if James is quoting the wrong verse, which a lot of my Israelite brothers will say. They'll go to the extent to say that James quoted the wrong verse and that he went off when he said that Peter went to these Israelites and fulfilled Amos chapter 9. Did you have anything, Amon?
Okay, yeah, what I want to say that this verse you're putting here in Acts 13 is not answering my question because Acts 11:19, the word only is used. They didn't say we're going to then go to no Gentiles. They stuck to the Jews only. If Jews in this area didn't believe them, then there's some other Jews in another area. They didn't say because the Jews in this area believe them, they're going to go to the Gentiles. The text said they taught the Jews only. So even if
what was
Jews
your question?
Area didn't believe them, the question is if they're teaching Jews only Jews they're teaching. They're not switching to nobody else. If Jews disagree with them or not, they're not switching to nobody else. They're still sticking to Jews only, the text says. They taught Jews only. They mentioned 3 different areas. Mm-hmm. So if one area believed in the Jew, the next area they went into was the Jews only again. The next area is Jews only again. So the text you put in Acts 13 is not addressing the question because the verse I pulled, it says it's Jews only that they deal with these Israelites.
What was the question though? Form the question.
The question is if they are teaching Jews only in Acts 11:19, which goes back to Stephen's death in the 7th chapter of Acts, isn't that a violation of Christ's commission to go to all nations?
Okay, and so, and I gave you that the narrative continues that they did go to all nations. If you continue to read, And if we take your stance that they're only supposed to teach Jews, then we can't say that they're teaching Israelites who lost their identity, because Acts 11 says that you quoting says they only taught Jews. They didn't teach Gentiles who don't know who they are, Gentiles who having to come back to Torah, who are really Israelites.
So your answer is that they did violate Christ's commission then?
No, they did. They did with Christ's commission. If you read the whole text, if you continue to read, if we just like we continue to read, we read through 13 where they're teaching Gentiles. We're gonna read to 15 where we read chapter 10 where they're teaching Gentiles. So but you believe Cornelius is a Israelite.
But do you know what the word only means?
Brother, do you understand narrative? They went to a synagogue and
you know what the word
they were
means.
And they were at that place, they were only teaching. They were only teaching Jews at that particular point. At that point that we're reading, they were just like in Matthew, what is that, 15:24? Only go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. You know what I'm talking about?
Then that's a violation. The violation then.
It's not a violation, brother. It's a change of charge. At this particular point of the story, only go to Israel. Only go to the lost sheep. Don't go to Samaria. Don't go into the places of the Gentiles.
This is after the
but then another commission comes in Matthew 18, Matthew 28. Go to all nations.
Acts 11 is after Matthew 28, brother.
Acts 11 is after there. And they're going to all nations, just like we read the verse before that. They went to Gentiles.
It's a violation of Matthew 28 then.
It's not a violation. You're reading the narrative. They eventually go to all nations. If you keep reading.
The word only, they said they went only to Jews.
Brother, at that point of the story, they were only talking to Jews at that point.
At that point of
but
the
if
story,
you keep reading,
they're in clear violation of the commission at that point in the story then. At that point in the story, they're clearly violating what he said before he left then.
They're not. Let me show you. Acts 11. But again, you changed the definitions.
I ain't changed none of the definition. You seem to be confused about the word only.
Verse 18. When they heard their peace and glorified, saying that God have also to the Gentiles granted repentance unto life. They've just discovered, wait a minute. They've just discovered that, hey, these Gentiles have also been granted eternal life. See, you've been precepting upon precepting so long that you don't see the story as an entire story. You picking up pieces and trying to stop right here. But in 18, the verse right above that, they're discovering that God has granted repentance of life to Gentiles. And so, yeah, of course, right here, that's why they putting it in here, where they were still only going to Gentiles right here. But if you continue to read, you're going to see that changes.
Brother, you only hurt your point even more. You didn't even see it. If they found out the verse right before that God is now giving non-Israel eternal life, why in the next verse does Luke highlight they were teaching Jews only?
Because they were still teaching. Because they were still have they dealt with Peter? Who is that?
Who's what?
Now they which were scattered abroad upon the persecution that arose about Stephen. This narrative is going back to Stephen.
Okay, so that's what I said. I said this.
What happened to Stephen? What happened to Stephen?
He was murdered by his own people.
Okay, he was murdered. Okay, so the narrative switches back to now we have a narrative here with Peter dealing with Cornelius.
Wait a minute.
Okay?
Why?
Before here, this is Peter dealing with Cornelius.
Brother.
Now we're jumping back.
My question to you: Why didn't they go to non-Israelites once Israelites murdered Stephen? Why at that point you don't go to? Why at that point you don't go to non-Israelites now? Since Israelites are murdering Christ believers, why not at that point go to non-Israelites? Why still stick to Jews only?
What did I tell? What did I show you in Acts 13? What was my point of pulling Acts 13?
You were trying to answer my question in Acts 11:19, which didn't answer my question in Acts 11:19.
I didn't say to the Jew first, and then to the Gentile.
Is that phraseology in Acts 13 where you pulled?
It's not in Acts 13. It was expedient that we go to It was expedient that we go to you first.
No, you said to the Jew first and to the Gentile. I'm asking, is that phraseology in Acts 13 where you with the verse that you pulled?
It says it was expedient that we come to you first. But it's also in Romans.
Okay, I'm trying to understand. How is that addressing? I'm putting a verse where it says they taught Jews only. That is it. You pulling a verse to try to say that went to Jews and non.
Brother, brother, you kind of just saying you kind of just missing it. You. That's what they were doing. Peter is dealing with Cornelius, and now we're dealing with and it jumps to Stephen, and it's showing you the Israelites are still only teaching Jews at this point. These particular ones are only teaching Jews, but Peter is teaching. Before this, Peter is discovering that eternal life has been given to the Gentile, and so this story develops. And that's what I'm trying to get you to see, brother. Like, you can't stop here.
Well, that listen, what you're doing? You're trying to make a claim that the story develops when, if we go all the way back to what God said in his Torah, he eliminated 3 nations of people in his Torah. He eliminated Moabites.
Oh my goodness! All right, let's not go back to. Come on, man. Come on, brother.
Say.
We already went there. We going in the circle. You putting us back in the circle. Do you have anything else?
You are getting away from Torah.
I would like to go back to Torah.
You're getting away from Torah. That's what you're doing. And that's really all that matters. That's all that really matters. All that really matters.
No, brother, I already went. We went through there with the roof and in this whole situation. We went there already. You want to put me back in that circle?
I'm not putting it back. You're making a claim that something is evolving. It cannot evolve if it goes against.
Yeah, the whole story evolves. This whole book evolves. It's all evolution. It's all evolving into it. It's all developing. It's all different dispensations.
Gotcha. For sure.
Yeah. Who's the brother said he wanted to? My bread and wine brothers. He said y'all wanted to go to Torah with him.
Yeah. I don't have a problem going to Torah at all.
Okay.
How you doing? How you say your name, man?
Amayan.
Okay, cool.
How you say it again? I could barely hear you out. Ha-Aman?
Ha-Amayan or just Amayan?
Ha-Amayan. Okay, my bad. I just wanted to make sure.
Amayan, bro. Just make it simple.
All right. So you say you want to go back to Torah. What specific part of Torah are you trying to go back to?
I'm pointing out to him that Christ didn't give no commission and go to all nations, because in Deuteronomy 23 it says that a Moabite and an Ammonite cannot come in unto their 10th generation. Then it says forever. Then in Numbers chapter 24 it goes into a prophecy about the Amalekites, and it said that their future is for them that they would die forever. So Torah is eliminating 3 nations already from the Torah. God is making it clear through prophecy, Amalekites are going to die forever, and the Moabite and the Ammonite cannot come in forever. So there is no way Christ gave a commission for his followers to go to all nations. And Torah has already eliminated 3 of them.
Okay. So at the time of the Messiah, where were the Moabites?
I don't know where they were.
Okay, where were the Ammonites?
I don't know where they were neither.
Okay, so where were the Amalekites?
I don't know where they were neither.
Okay, so those 3 nations cannot, you don't know where they were. And there is no, to my knowledge, there's no written record of any group of people calling themselves no Moabites, the Amalekites, or the Ammonites at the time of the Messiah, or even during the time of, let's say, Persia, right? So that's even 300 years before. There's no record of anybody being called that. If he then says, go out to all nations, how is that a violation of Torah?
Because you are under the assumption that those nations died out, which you can't prove.
Well, I'm not saying that they did or didn't die out. What I'm saying is, if there is no reference to any group of people calling themselves that, and he says, go out to all nations, there's nobody identifying themselves as a Moabite, Amalekite, or Ammonite at all. So how is that a violation of Torah?
Because the Moabites and the Ammonites are still a nation, are still alive at this time.
They are?
Yes.
Can you show me on a map the country of Moab today?
I'm gonna show you on the map on the country. The maps has been changed. Most nations are not in the original land that there was today. So me looking at the map is not going to identify that those people are the original people of that land.
Okay, but even if let's say they're the original people, but then they go somewhere else, they pick up a new culture, they no longer hold that identity. Are you saying because of DNA, they are still Moabites, Amalekites, Ammonites?
Definitely.
Okay. You are aware that no ancient person thought about anything in terms of identification in that way ever, because no ancient person even knew what DNA was. Identity was passed down through the father, but it was primarily dealing with cultural identity. And a person could forsake their one cultural identity and go to another one. This is well documented throughout ancient history. This is why Ruth was able to do what she was able to do. This is why you have, who else was, you have some of the Hittites as well, who, like Uriah, was able to do what he was able to do, because they never put their identity on their DNA. They put it on their culture. Are you aware of that?
You brought up DNA, correct?
Yeah, I'm asking you that. Well, I'm asking you if that was your identification marker, because the reason why I was asking you the questions before is there's nobody who identifies themselves with those nationalities at all. You're saying, well, they can't get in because they still exist. The original people still exist. So if they are not identifying themselves with that nationality, how are they still existing? The only way that would possibly make sense would be DNA. That's why I was asking you that question.
What about prophecy?
Okay, so you said,
my question is, if prophecy calls a certain people that in our future calling a group of people Moabites and Ammonites, is that proof enough for you?
Well, you would have to show me a prophecy for our time that specifically says that a group of people named Moab would still be around. That's the first thing you'd have to show me.
That's not a prophecy. I can show it to you in the book of Daniel. Hold on.
Okay, can you show me a part of Daniel that first you have to show me the part of Daniel that specifically is for our time.
No problem. Daniel 11th chapter.
Okay. Give me 1 second to flip to it.
Hold on. Let me
Go ahead.
hold on. Let me grab my. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
All right. Daniel chapter 11. And let me start. Is it 30 verse 36 where it starts at? I want to get to the
Said 36.
it starts at 30. It starts at 36, but in verse 41. In verse 41,
So verse
it
41
says,
is where it ends.
yeah, this it starts at verse 36, speaking of the last day beast or antichrist. 36 all the way down to the end of the chapter is speaking of the last day antichrist in our future. And in verse 41 it says, he shall enter into the glorious land, which we know is the land of Israel. It says, and many
Okay.
countries shall be overthrown, but these shall escape out of his hand. It said, even Edom, it says Moab, and the chief of the children of Ammon. This is in our future. The text is identifying Moab, Ammon, and Ammonite, Moabite, and Ammonite, that they are still a nation of people, even in our future, because this is the Antichrist that these people are running from.
Okay.
That's prophecy.
Okay. So are you sure that this is a prophecy that has not been fulfilled already? Are you positive?
I'm 100% positive because because when we read verse 45, it says, and he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him, it says.
Okay. So all of chapter 11 has already been fulfilled. So if you start at chapter 11, verse 1, it says, as for me, in the first year of Darius, the Mede, I stood up to confirm and strengthen him. Now I will show you the truth. Behold, 3 more kings shall rise in Persia, and a 4th shall be far greater than all of them. Then when he has become strong against his riches, he shall stir up against the kingdom of Greece. Then a mighty king shall arise, who shall rule with great dominion and do as he wills. As soon as he has risen, his kingdom shall be broken and divided towards the 4 winds of heaven, but not to his posterity, nor according to the authority with which he ruled, for his kingdom shall be plucked up and go to others besides these. So after Daniel, you had 3 kings in Persia. You had the great king who then provoked Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great conquered the world, fashioned everybody else he could, but he died in India sick with no kids, and his kingdom was split up into 4 different people. And those 4 different kings kept fighting amongst each other. By the time you get to verse 41, which is actually verse 36, which is where you said it should start, that's talking about Antiochus Epiphanes. He is at that time who you would consider, now I'm using this term just because we're familiar with it, he would be what you would consider the anti-Mashiach. He was the abomination of desolation. He destroyed a lot of things, and he walked into the set apart of the Holy of Holies. He was not supposed to be in there. His simply existing in that area was an abomination, and he caused desolation, right? Because technically that's what it says, the abomination that causes desolation, right? So all of Daniel 11 has already been fulfilled. Now, one thing that it does help you with is it shows that at the time of Antiochus Epiphanes, Edom, Moab, and part of the Ammonites to some degree would still have been extant at that time. But that's not a future prophecy. That's already been fulfilled. Even the way Antiochus Epiphanes died, the things that happened to him, all of that matches with Daniel 11. And if you go between Antiochus Epiphanes and Alexander the Great, pretty much all of the history of Greece as it pertains to that area is all of Daniel chapter 11 to the T.
Okay, so you finished, brother?
I'm sorry?
Are you finished? I want to make sure.
Yeah, I'm done. You can go ahead.
Okay. In
I
verse
appreciate
45, you have Daniel 11:45?
Yep.
In Daniel chapter 11, verse 45, which who you are saying is Epiphanes, and he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. Is this in the land of Israel, yes or no?
It would be in the set apart land, yeah.
Okay, when did Antiochus planted his palace in the land of Israel?
So he didn't necessarily plant his palace there, but again, he walked into the temple. He essentially sat out of temple. So no, he didn't necessarily set his palace and rule out of there, like literally, but he did plant that area as a place of rulership for himself. And he did it despite the Yahudim who were there, the Jews. But even if you want to focus on that one verse, you still have to take into account and consideration that all of 11 has already happened. So all that means is that you just have to answer that one verse as opposed to looking at the whole chapter. You can't just dismiss the whole chapter for one verse.
If you're saying the whole verse applies to him, then every verse should apply to him. If one verse doesn't apply to him, then we can argue that the rest of it doesn't apply to him. You can even it says he shall plant, it says, his tabernacles of his palace, it says. The text is saying what he's going to do. He never did that. It can't be him.
That's not good hermeneutics, because again, all of 11, you can look at and see that this applies literally. This literally already happened. Again, you're looking at one verse, the last verse. And because that one verse appears as though it literally didn't happen that way, all of it just now doesn't apply. That's not how that would work. If you're literally seeing every single thing is hitting, everything just to the T is lining up with something, then you get to one verse that seems like it's off. You cannot just look at the one verse that seems like it's off and disregard everything and now reinterpret it some other way that doesn't fit. You're saying this is a future prophecy that does not fit with the verse because everything in here has already happened.
Okay, brother. Can you show us anywhere in history where the Edomites in verse 41, where the Edomites, the Moabites, and the chief children of Ammon was running from this God? Can you show us in history where were these three nations running from Antiochus Epiphanes? Where?
Well, give me 1 second to look that up.
There's we talked about that Decapolis in the text, where Greek named them 10 cities that were the land of Moab and Ammon, and they turned them into Greek cities. That's why you don't see them no more. You don't see Moab and Ammon there. They were conquered, and then they built cities over it. If you just look up that Decapolis, and it's actually in the text, but you know and you can just Google, man, it has that Daniel 11 been fulfilled, you know, and in the methodology of the one verse situation, it's almost like, well, we had to fit every curse when we went into these different captivities. But somebody today say, oh, well, do you fit every curse? And well, you got to fit every curse to be the Israelites, to be that, because I don't see you eating your children. I don't see that. Hey, where your king? Did your king get captured? Who's the king that went into slavery? You know, that's like, you know, it's cognitive dishonest, man. And you know, you can go all y'all can go all day and brothers in the comments. So trust Google for privacy. My goodness, man. Oh my goodness.
I don't know looking there too, but I'm not going to no Google for no prophecy. He's making a claim, and he think it's just one.
No, that was a comment. I was reading a comment. From somebody.
I'm just saying there's multiple verses here I can pull that do not affect Antiochus Epiphanes. I'm just pointing out too. He clearly can't reconcile verse 45. Clearly can't do that. And I'm pointing another verse for him that he had a problem with reconciling again too. So I'm waiting for him to show me.
I didn't say I was. Hold on. I didn't say I was having a problem with that. I said, give me a second to look that up. That's the first thing I said. But the second thing is, you still are missing my point. My point, which is basically what he was saying, what Brother Phineas was saying, is that if we are looking, again, I'm not just starting at 36. I'm saying 36 on is talking about epiphanies. But I'm also saying that 11 as a whole is talking about Greek history in that area, period. Starting with Alexander the Great. So again, that is where my starting point is. You cannot just look at one, or in your case, you're saying two, but really one verse. And because one verse does not neatly fit in or does not seem to literally state something, just immediately assume, number one, what you're doing, which is that it didn't happen. And then number two, because it doesn't immediately become obvious to us, the whole thing just isn't talking about that. Nobody does that outside unless they have something they already are walking in with as true and they're trying to disprove something else. Most people don't just do that. They look at something, and if it obviously points to a certain direction, there might be some ambiguity in some places, they just accept the general direction and try to work on the ambiguity later. Do you understand my point now?
First of all, again, you see all that he making it sound like the text isn't directly saying what
no.
verse 45.
Hey, don't do that. I said
I didn't cut you when you was talking, bro. I let you talk.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
well, let me talk now, though. I didn't cut you off, though.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, let me finish, though. I didn't cut you when you was talking.
Go ahead.
I want to be clear. When you nothing when you was talking, bro.
Brother, I said go ahead.
Verse 45 said, it directly says, and he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. Specifically, that's literal. That never happened to Antiochus Epiphanes. He never did that. I don't care how you try to flip it, twist it, turn it. It does not fit him. It cannot be him. So verse 40, so chapter 11 of Daniel, verse 45 is not him. Clearly, he can say whatever he wants to say. He cannot prove to us that Antiochus Epiphanes planted his palace anywhere in the land of Israel. He has nothing to prove that with. All he's going to say is a bunch of nothing because he has no corroboration to prove any of that. That's why what he's saying is wrong. But
hold on, actually, real quick. If I may, Aki, real quick, that verse where it says he planted his palace. If you go to the interlinear, look it up in the Hebrew, it does say palace in the KJV, but it's more like a pavilion. It's not an actual like palace, more like a pavilion. So if we can show in terms of him planning something to where he's staying while he is ransacking Jerusalem, that would be equivalent to a pavilion. If you can look up what a pavilion is in terms of the Roman thing, we can try to find something on that to see if that will suffice. But in terms of an actual palace, what we think of like a huge castle and stuff like that, that's not what the text is saying. It's a pavilion in the Hebrew, if you look it up.
Which goes back to what I was saying. Again, it might not necessarily literally be that. My point, if you remember also what my original point was when you asked me about that, I said, oh, it's not a literal palace, but it's just meaning that he has significant rulership in that area. Now, again, a pavilion, if he has some type of temporary staying there or any type of thing like that, he's setting that up because he has rulership, significant rulership in that area. So again, it doesn't have to be Go ahead.
If we don't know, if we agree that we don't know who the Amalekites are, you don't know who the Moabites are, you don't know who the Edomites are. You agreed and said that. How can you align up prophecy? How could you align that up in today's time if you have no idea who these people are?
He asked me where the location were. He asked me where they were. I said, I don't know where they were. Then he went to some argument about DNA. And I said, if prophecy are still mentioning these people as a nation in our future, then these people are still around. And that's why I went here and I showed it. And he's saying that how this happened already. And I'm waiting for him to prove to us that it happened already. I'm waiting for him to come and show us verse 41, where Antiochus Epiphanes, that Edom, Moab, and Ammonite was running from Epiphanes. I'm waiting for him to show that.
Yeah, it was just my point of just, trying to reverse, using prophecy, trying to use a methodology to establish prophecy through people that you have no idea where these people are, where they're located.
Okay. Well, let me just read 41 in my translation really quick. He shall come into it says glorious land, and tens of thousands shall fall, but these shall be delivered out of his hand. Edom and Moab and the main part of the Ammonites, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that they had to be running from him. It just means that they had to not necessarily be conquered by him in the same way that Judah was.
Was Antiochus Epiphanes defeated by the Maccabees?
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with verse 41.
It doesn't,
unless you're going back to verse 45.
Because if the Maccabees defeated them, you're making a claim that because now the brother comes in and he switches it and say that it's not a palace, it's some kind of pavilion. He's saying, right? It was some kind of pavilion. And even if it's that, he needs to show that he planted a pavilion then, because again, it's a whole bunch of going back and to using a different definition for the word. It could be palace, but let's go with pavilion. No problem. Can you show that he planted a pavilion in the land of Israel?
Again, if he is planting a pavilion, whether literal or figurative, he's only doing it because he has significant rulership in the area. That is the point of 45. It is showing that he has significant rulership in the area.
How did he have rulership in the area if he got put out?
What? Before he got put out, what did he have?
What he had in the area was it was issuing decree in the area for people to leave their laws. That's what he was doing.
How is he able
to leave their laws?
I'm sorry, were you done?
Bro? No, I wasn't done.
All right, go ahead.
In Maccabees 1, it's saying that he issued decrees for them to go ahead and to leave their laws and to follow the heathen. And some Jews followed him, but some Jews didn't follow him. And then his army was coming in to enforce the stuff that he had put decree. Were coming to enforce it. And then when his army came in there to enforce it, that's when the Maccabees stepped up against him and ran him up out of there. So he never ever established anything in there permanently, anything like that, because when his army came to enforce it, the Maccabees ran him out.
Okay, so I just want to make sure you're finished.
I'm done.
Okay, so if he's making decrees, he must have authority, right?
He has authority to make decree, not in the land. He doesn't.
No, he had authority in the land to make decrees. That's the reason why that's the reason why people had to follow it. And the ones that didn't do it rebelled because they were rebelling against his authority. He had authority.
So if me, a king, sent a decree to a land for them to leave their laws, right, and some of the people in the land left their laws and some didn't, And because the one that didn't left their laws, then I sent my army in for those people who are not listening to my decree. But then those people in the land ran me up out of the land. You saying I had dominion in the land?
You had dominion in the land until you got ran up out of there. Yes, because otherwise, if you let's say we're living in a land with kings again. If the king of England decides to go to France and say, listen to my laws, the king of France will tell them you have no authority over here to do that. But if the king of England wanted to go to India in the 1800s and say, listen to my laws, they would have to listen because India at that time was under the jurisdiction of England. They would have to listen to him. If the Indian army then rose up and kicked the king of England out of there, then he would no longer have jurisdiction. This is historically what happened. After the Maccabees did all of that stuff and got them up out of there, they actually started what was called like a second Jewish empire. They were only able to do that after that time period because they did not have jurisdiction. The Seleucid Empire was the one that had this jurisdiction. He had authority in that land.
I would say he didn't. I mean, you can say that all you want. If you show me in the Maccabees where he I mean, we're waiting for him to show us that there was a pavilion in the land. We still have not.
I've already explained that. I've already explained that.
You have? I didn't hear him say it again.
Okay, so again, whether that's how we actually started this whole conversation. Whether the pavilion was literal or figurative, the point of 45 is saying that he had significant authority in the land.
Wow. Okay, got you. Now it could be figurative, not literal no more. Got you. All right.
I said that in the beginning.
All right.
I didn't use the word figurative, but I said that in the beginning.
I heard you. No, you're right. I heard you. I got you. Is that it on that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, brother Fernese.
So again, we was dealing with dealing with this is the Gentile, who are the Gentiles basically. And you done changed your stance a few times on the proselytes, on the converts. Yeah.
Don't say that, bro. I know I didn't. Don't say that. I didn't change my stance. My stance has been consistent from beginning to end. I've not changed my stance.
You didn't change your stance on who the converts and proselytes are?
No, sir.
So you said, so what's a proselyte?
The word proselyte, you translate as a convert.
I didn't ask you what the word proselyte. I'm just, who are proselytes?
Proselytes are converts.
Well, I would like to be fair. Because even though Daniel started out with me asking him to present some evidence or something, technically it does sound like we're kind of putting him on the hot seat. I don't mind being put in the hot seat for a couple of minutes. Just to be fair. Ask me a question, because obviously my stance would be that Gentiles would be non-Israelites, and that that's pretty much it. So,
no, he was in the comment. He wanted smoke. This is the only way we got the live up.
Oh, okay.
He wanted smoke in the comments. This is the only, like, this wasn't scheduled. This was somebody in the comments. This brother was in the comments going crazy about a video that I did with Captain Tazariak now.
Okay, and, I don't mind being on the hot seat for a little bit.
Yeah, no. He if I knew, I done spoke with this brother. We had a conversation before on the Gentile situation. Was it Gentiles? I forget what it was before. Yeah, it was Gentiles, and it was the same thing with the whole Gentile being Latin and again, I'm gonna show y'all where it come from. I'm gonna show you where your argument comes from tomorrow, but all of it stems from British Israelism. And I also, and it was the Romans 11, Romans 11 situation. And you know, and I answered that. It probably wasn't to your liking, but it was definitely answered. And I gave you the example of to the Jew first. To the Acts 15, I want to see how you navigate the Acts 15.
Me or him?
No, him. I already know y'all
Okay.
stands. And I put a PDF up. Nobody did the PDF, including you. And I know you knew that I had the PDF up. I'm gonna do another advertisement for that. Because it seems a lot of brothers in here who got who who want some smoke. You got a lot in here who want some smoke.
Yeah, I can see in terms of what Jehu was saying, we can definitely show where Gentile or Goyim is someone other than an Israelite. You can go to Genesis. You can go to Genesis 10, where it says the Isle of the
Yeah, none of those are
Gentiles,
Israelites.
and that's Japheth. And none of them are Israelites. So that's Genesis 10.
Right. With the what was like the island of the Gentiles or something like that.
Yeah, when it talks about Japheth,
Right.
which
The
is
Isles of the
Gentiles, probably in the
Gentiles.
best translation. It probably should just be the Isles of the Nations. But
Right.
yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to explain to my brothers. I'm gonna have to do a short video on ethnos and goy on how things are translated and what the translator is doing with these particular words. These words aren't the same. Gentile, heathen, nation, people, they are not the same words. But the translator is choosing to put these words depending on the context for this particular word. So he'll use these 4 words for goy, but these are not the exact same words. They don't have the same meaning. And
I want you to show that because I want you to show that because the argument is really based. The argument really.
So you believe that a heathen is the same definition as a people?
The heathen is the Greek word ethnos or ethene, which goes back.
And people Hebrew. Is the people? Yeah, is it also people?
I'm just saying. All I'm saying here is that you're missing it. You're thinking because they use the word heathen, it doesn't go back originally to the Greek word ethnos or ethene, which goes back to the Hebrew word goy, and it does.
Well, that's not always true. That's not always true. So it depends on. All right. So first off, when you're saying the Greek word ethnos goes back to the Hebrew goy, what is your source for that?
The Septuagint.
Okay, cool. Good. Let me get this out real quick. Which now I will agree with you that in most cases that is true, but that's not universally the case. Let me find it. I hope I can find it right now. Is this it? Yeah. All right. Now I'll be honest, my Greek is not as good as my Hebrew. So you got to give me a second to find the word goy here. But you can keep talking while I'm looking because I gotta.
Let me just bring out this point for this Acts 15.
Okay.
Simeon have declared how first the Gentiles, how God at first did visit the Gentiles to take out a people for his name. And to this agree the words of the prophets, as it is written, after this I will return and build again the tabernacle of David, which is fallen, and I will begin to build again the ruins thereof, and I will set it up, that the residue of men might seek after the Lord, and all the Gentiles who are called by my name, upon whom my name is called, saith the Lord. So Simon here is Peter. Peter declared how God at first did visit the Gentiles. Do you agree that this is dealing with Peter and Cornelius, where Simon declared how God at first did visit the Gentiles?
No.
Okay, so when did Peter declare? What was this event?
This is going back to Abraham.
Peter don't go back to Abraham, brother. How Peter going back to Abraham?
The verse you're reading says, Simeon, which is Simon Peter, has declared her God at the first did visit the Gentiles to take a people for his name. That means at this point, there was not a people for God's name. But by Cornelius' time, you had a people for his name already. It can't be speaking of Cornelius because you already had a people for his name already by the time you get to Cornelius. When you go back to Abraham, there was not a people for his name. This is speaking of when God at the first went to go get Abraham, who's a Gentile, to take a people for his name.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this.
May I say something really quick about the word goy and the Septuagint?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm using the name of this reference is a Greek, Hebrew / Aramaic two-way index to the Septuagint. It is by I'm probably gonna say this person's name wrong, Murakoa. On page 173, it has the Hebrew word goy. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different Greek words that the word goy is translated into from the Tanakh into the LXX. So again, sometimes that word ethnos is used. That is not universally true. It does depend on the context, even in the Septuagint.
Are you what those words are?
So again, I don't know Greek, so I only have 8 of them, and the source that it's referenced to is a Septuagint concordance that I don't have yet, so I can't look those Greek words up. But it's 8 of them here. You can take a picture of it.
Real quick, I want to throw this in there real quick. I just found something.
You agree. Okay, but you do agree though that ethnos is one of those words, correct?
Yeah, ethnos is one of those words, but it's not the only word.
Okay, but the word that when you see the word Gentile and heathen is translated from in the text is the word ethnos that's there, not the other Greek word you're speaking of. It's ethnos that's there. That's what I'm speaking of. What is actually in the text? The text has the Greek word ethnos there that's translated into heathen or Gentile. You agree?
In the New Testament, in the King James.
Yes.
So again, I'm not going to agree or disagree with you on that one, but that particular thing, in terms of Greek translation, that's not my strongest area. Now, there are other people I know.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick. I want to put this out there real quick. So I just found something. This is in Biblical Archaeology Society. I got a couple of references. Biblical Archaeology Society. It says the Antiochus built a new fortress known as the Acra or the Citadel in Jerusalem. Also on Antiochus, the Torah.com, Antiochus, the forced persecution as portrayed in the book of Daniel. The claim that Antiochus the Fourth forbade the bringing of the town of the Tamid and built a pagan altar on the top of the temple are 2 major anchors. It also says the Armstrong Institute of Biblical Archaeology. It says that Antiochus built a fortress. He constructed a massive fortress in the northern part of the city of David, or this citadel. Where else? But it's called the Acra, A-C-R-A. This is what Antiochus Epiphanes, this is what he built in the city of David. I'm actually going to read this one real quick. Hold on. Let me get this source real quick. Like I said, this is from biblicalarchaeology.com. It says, having already laid siege to the Temple Mount and destroying many of the fortifications, Antiochus built a new fortress known as the Acra, literally the citadel, to consolidate his power over Jerusalem and strengthen his political agents. So it is to show that Antiochus did build something in the land, a military citadel in the land to establish his dominance.
So that would actually take care of the literal.
Okay, I mean, I got to fact check the sources. You need to leave the sources in the. I got to fact check what he's saying. He's saying that, but people got to fact check what he's saying. If you leave, leave the link,
leave the link. I can see if I can type it in. I'm actually not able to actually type it in, but I can say it. You can go back on this recording. It's biblicalarchaeology.org. Also, the Torah.com. You also have the Bible in a Year Study Guide.com, and you also have Armstrong Institute of Biblical Archaeology.com. Let me see if there's another one. That's all I'm seeing right now. Let me go to the next page.
It's in the recording. It's in the recording. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna go back and fact check it. I'm gonna go back and read the whole article. Okay. I'm gonna fact check. No problem.
Okay, copy that out. Yeah, just want to put that out there for you.
I'm gonna look at the word that's there again for palace as well, and I'm gonna look at all the usage of it and see it does it correlate to what you're saying. I'm gonna fact check all of that. It's in the recording, no problem. And once I check it, I'm gonna do a response video on it. And anything is out of place.
And for my brothers in the comments, and even my brother here saying that this is going back to Abraham. How can it go back to Abraham and it's prophesied in Amos?
I apologize. I was looking for that word. He was talking about, I know Acts 15.
Oh no, you good. You good. I'm not. Yeah. No, you good. But I don't know how y'all doing that. I don't know how, this is prophesied in the book of Amos, but you saying it got fulfilled during the time of Abraham. Hey, come on, y'all. Like, we don't even know who Simeon is. We saying Simeon. Brother saying Simeon.
What Simeon said goes
is Simeon
back to
Peter?
Abraham. Brother, what Simeon said goes back to Abraham. What James pulled goes back to Amos. It's two different things. You misconstrue what's being said here in Acts.
Then why is he saying? But why would the prophecy come? All the way back in Amos, all the way in the future of Amos, if it was already fulfilled during the time of Abraham.
No, he's quoting.
You saying the prophecy was fulfilled before it was prophesied?
No, brother. He's quoting what Simeon said about what God did at the first. That's what he's quoting. What Simon Peter said.
And this agrees the prophets, as it is written. He will build up the tabernacle of David. You saying this got fulfilled during? You saying the tabernacle of David got fulfilled during the time of Abraham? Do you agree Simeon is Peter?
But now you understand why certain Israelites are saying that Peter is quoting the wrong verse because of your understanding of it.
I just asked you, was Simeon Peter, brother? Was Simeon Peter? Do you believe he's Peter?
Simeon, yes.
Okay, you believe he's Peter. Excellent. Okay, now, no, I understand why they're doing that. It's because they're trying to hold on to this Gentile situation. You have to do that. You have to say James quoted the wrong verse. And if you're willing to go down that road, go down that road.
I'm not Where did James quote the wrong verse?
They're saying he quoted the wrong verse in Amos 9:11. That James didn't know what he was talking about.
Okay.
I'm not saying that. I want to be clear. Don't. I'm not saying that.
Okay, so what are you? But you saying that Simeon declared how Peter declared how God first did visit the Gentiles. You saying that has nothing to do with Cornelius, but has to do with Abraham.
Yeah, because by the time of Cornelius, he had a people for his name already. So that wouldn't make any sense.
It does make sense if you read Amos 9:11.
how does Amos not how does Amos 9:11 declares how God is taking people out for his name? How?
Let's read it.
Explain
In that
it.
day
Go
will I
ahead.
raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up the ruins, and I will build it as the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and all the heathen which are called by my name, saith the Lord that doeth this. So would you agree that Amos 9:11 is talking about heathen and Edomites and just heathen, not Israelites?
To Amos 9:11,
11 and 12.
It says possess the remnant of Edom, to possess them, the remnant of Edom,
and all the heathen,
and all the heathen that are called by his name.
Right.
So only one people are called.
And so what is he quoting here? What is he quoting?
Hold on, wait. We got to go back to Amos 9:11 real quick, because so
I know it say nations. I know, you know.
Yeah. So
it's just I don't even. It's too much for him. It's too much. It'll be 45 minutes.
Septuagint.
In
I know, but he mentioned the Septuagint, and because he mentioned Septuagint, we have to still consider what it says, right? So the Hebrew there in Amos 9:12, without vowel points, is actually kind of ambiguous, and it can actually say a couple of different things. I'm pretty sure you might have heard this. I'm pretty sure you might have mentioned this, but 9:11, I have the ESV, which is based on the Masoretic text. In that day, I will raise up the booth of David that is fallen, and repair its breaches, and raise up its ruins, and rebuild it as in the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and all the nations who are called by my name. But 12 says, so that the remnant of the people and all the nations upon whom my name was invoked upon them will search for me. So one is saying they're going to possess Edom. The other one is saying the remnant of the people. Right? That's not saying the exact same thing. And again, and all the nations upon whom my name was invoked. So now
I just wanted to glean from that these were dealing with other nations. Before, you know, we can get to that other part where, okay, well, it's not really saying that they're going to be possessed. But we just got to get over that first hump first of these people that James is and he's using this verse to quote is heathen in other nations that are being given are people called by his name. And for them to accept that first, they got to be able to eat that first. Now, initially, yeah, and I know why you jumped in, because that's initially what he took. And said, "Oh, we'll see, it's gonna possess it," but you know, I'll deal with that later, just to get him to still deal with the fact that these are talking about heathen, whether they're possessing them or not, or however that looks, it's still talking about heathen here. And if he had said, "Oh well, it's heathen, we taking them in possession," and if he could just accept it as heathen, then it's still through, you know, it's still, we can move on, and then we can later, you know, or we can come back to the Septuagint. But that's mostly what I was trying to get him to establish with that. But the fact that we're all the way back in Abraham, and we got people, we got people that we got brothers in the chat don't know that this is Peter. We can't even identify that this is going back to Cornelius. It's too much. It's too much to unravel. To even bring that out. You
said you're going to clarify to us, how does Amos is explaining her God is taking the people out for his name? How is he doing that in Amos chapter 9, verse 11 and 12? How?
It's being fulfilled in Acts 15. He's showing you that the people being taken out for his name, that Peter is showing you, Peter first declared it by Cornelius being one of the first ones taken out and being called by his name. Brother, and then we're establishing what to do with these Gentiles.
in Amos, he brought up David. Is David an Israelite or a non-Israelite?
Man, I can't do this, bro. I can't.
That's what I'm trying to say. You don't do it because
I can't.
It don't fit what you're saying, because if God went to the Gentiles to get a name, and you're reading about David isn't a non-Israelite. He's an Israelite.
It said the tabernacle of David.
David.
What is the tabernacle of David?
Yeah, but that's the house of David.
Okay.
David is an Israelite.
And now he's pulling. And so what did the verse say?
You're saying that Peter said God at first went to the Gentiles, and you're saying that started.
I said no. He at first he declared.
Yeah, but
Peter, like that's your verse. Then you read Acts 11:19, and then I read Acts 11:18, where Peter declared that these folks then got eternal life.
Okay, well
let's saying that that's in Amos 9:11. Is what you're saying, because James is quoting Amos 9:11.
It's a fulfillment of Amos 9:11. That Gentiles coming in being called by his name is a fulfillment of Amos 9:11.
How can it be fulfillment how can it be fulfillment when David is an Israelite? He's not a non-Israelite.
What in the world are we talking about David for, man?
Hold on.
You brought up what Simeon said. Simeon said at the first God did visit the Gentiles. You're saying when James quote this, you said that the prophets agreed to this, and he's quoting Amos 9:11. In Amos 9:11, he's bringing up the house of David. That's not a Gentile. That's an Israelite. It can't.
Hold on, wait. Hold on, wait a minute, brother. I think you might be missing the point by trying to make another point that's kind of irrelevant. So let's just read Amos 9, that part, right? On that day, I will raise up the tent of David that has fallen, right? And I will rebuild its things that have fallen, right? It's saying the tent belonged to David. It's talking about the stuff the city, right? And I will raise up its things that have been destroyed, and I will rebuild it just as the days of eternity. Yes, it's talking about David, who is an Israelite. Nobody is disputing that, right? But what comes after that, those people, those ones are the ones that are not Israelites. Those people are related to what's going on in verse 11. But verse 11 is not about David himself. It's about the city. It's about the tent of David, not David the man.
Also, Peter's quoting from the Septuagint.
Yeah,
he's quoting directly from the Septuagint. So you would have to deal with that, because the Masoretic says that they may possess the remnant of Edom, but the Septuagint doesn't say that. It's actually in verse 17 that the remnant of mankind may see. Oh no, that's something else. My bad.
No, yeah, but you are right that he's quoted from the Septuagint, though, because
Actually, no. I'm correct. I apologize. I'm correct. Amos 9 in verse 11, it says, "In that day I will raise up the tabernacle of David that has fallen. I will rebuild the ruins of it. I will set up the parts thereof that have been broken down, and will build it as the ancient days. That the remnant of men and all the Gentiles upon whom my name is called may earnestly seek me, saith Yahuwah, who does all these things." So yeah, he's quoting directly from the Septuagint, directly. So I wouldn't say he's quoting the incorrect verse.
I'm not arguing.
To be fair, he didn't say that. I'm not
arguing any of that. I'm not arguing no misquotation or nothing like that. What I'm saying is that he started in Acts chapter 15, where it says Simeon at the first did visit the Gentiles. God at the first did visit the Gentiles to take a people out for his name. And he's saying that start right there. That starts in Amos chapter 9, is what Brother Phineas is saying, because James, it says, and this agrees with the prophets, and he goes to quote Amos 9:11. And I'm saying if Amos 9:11 starts where Simeon is saying God at the first did visit the Gentiles, that couldn't have started in Amos 9:11, because in Amos 9:11 he's speaking of the tabernacle of David, and by that time Israel has already been a people for his name already. So you can't go take someone for your name when you already had a whole people for your name already.
That's not what's going on, though. That's not what's going on, and that's what Brother Phineas is trying to tell you. Is when he says Simeon has related how Elohim has first visited the Gentiles, he's talking about what Simeon is relating to him that happened in his personal, like the personal experience that he has with him seeing and having the vision of Elohim now blessing the Gentiles and saying that you all can now come into the fold. That's what he's talking about. He's not talking about a verse, because otherwise James would have just quoted Genesis, right? That's why he's saying Simeon has related this, because he's saying Simeon is the one that experienced it back in Acts 13 or maybe 12, but I think it was 13 with Cornelius. That's why he's saying that, because Simeon had to literally get a vision to be told it is okay for Gentiles to come into this, because if I've called them clean, they're clean. Don't call something unclean that I've called clean. You have to understand, okay, let's talk about people, so I can accept Cornelius, right? That is what he's relating to them. And then he's quoting Amos, and he's saying this part of Amos is talking about what Peter just experienced. That's what he's saying. But what Brother Phineas is not saying, nor is what Acts saying, that is a quote from the Bible, or that this is talking about a period of time in the Bible. The period of time starts with Simeon and his experience.
Okay, so my question to you then, when Peter had this vision, did he have a people for his name already? Yes or no?
Well, yeah, he had a people for his name, Israel.
Okay, so why would he at the time of Peter having the vision, is he going to go get a people for his name when he had that already?
That's why it's important to read the Septuagint again, which says, and all the nations upon whom my name was invoked upon them, right? Or that's what it says here in the or what you're saying is what it says here in the Greek of the New Testament, who are called by my name. First of all, that doesn't, when you're saying called by my name as in a people group, yeah, I would agree with you. That's just Israel. But when you're talking about individuals from different nations, they can absolutely be called by his name. And those people would be coming from that nation. They would still be essentially called by that nation, So if they're, let's say, French, they still would be a French person. Does that make sense?
No, because I don't think you understand what Peter said. Peter said God at the first did visit the Gentiles to take. At first, visit the Gentiles to take a people out for his name. Not individuals, a people. To take a people, not individuals, a people out for his name, it says, right? That's what it says.
Okay, cool. So let's go back.
You say that happened when Peter got a vision?
Yes, because that's when it starts. So he's saying, again, he is saying Simeon has related to us. Simeon has related to us. Simeon is the one who is telling us. If he's simply going back to Abraham, there's no need to talk about what Simeon's saying. Just quote Genesis. He's saying Simeon is the one who is relating this to us. Again, when he's saying let's read it verbatim. Simeon has related to us how Elohim, God, has first visited the Gentiles to take from them. He's taking from the nations a people for his name. He's taking individuals from the nations to make a people for his name.
Okay, my question to you. Listen real close to my question, guys. I need you to
I got
my
you.
question. Listen to my question real close, right? When did God do that?
Where did Peter get the vision from?
Wait, so you wait a minute. Wait a minute. So God is going to take an Israelite. He's going to send an Israelite who is his people already to go to non-Israelite to take out new Israelite. Am I correct in what you're saying?
It depends on how you mean that.
No,
Reword. No, hold on,
hold on,
because I don't understand what
I,
he's saying.
yeah,
No, I
because
don't understand
that's
that
not
part.
no, that's not what
Because
you were
listen,
asking. Because he's saying an
I think
Israelite.
you're missing the verse
This has
again. You're
nothing to do with
missing
an
the verse
Israelite.
again. Okay, listen, you're missing the verse again.
No, but I just need you to repeat your question to me.
I think you're missing it. God did visit the Gentiles to take a people out for his name. If you're saying that's Peter, then you're saying God did visit Peter and give him a vision to go to non-Israelites to turn them into his people and put his name upon them. But the verse does not say that unless you're saying Peter is a non-Israelite.
No, I don't understand how you're getting any of that. So
that's what I'm trying to explain to you. Is he and what he's asking? He's asking when did Elohim do this? Right. All we got to do is go to Acts 10. Go to Acts 10. Who came to Cornelius?
And let me just go through some translations too, just real quick. KJV, Simon have declared how God first did visit the Gentiles, take out the people for his name. NIV, Simon has described to us how God first intervened to choose a people for his name from the Gentiles. NLT, Peter has told you about the time God first visited the Gentiles to take from the people for him, to take them a people for himself. Simeon has declared how God at first visited the Gentiles to take from among them a people for his name. Simeon has reported how God first intervened to take the Gentiles a people for his name. Yeah, y'all go ahead.
Right. So Acts 10, verse 30. And Cornelius said, 4 days ago, he's talking to Peter, 4 days ago, about this hour, I was praying in my house at the 9th hour. And behold, a man stood before me in bright clothing and said, Cornelius, your prayer has been heard and your alms have been remembered before Elohim. He got visited. He got visited by Elohim. Send therefore to Joppa and ask for Simon, who is called Peter. That's the proof to the other guy. This is Peter. Simon called Peter. There you go, right there. He is lodging in the house of Simon, a tanner by the sea. So I sent, this is Cornelius, so I sent for you at once, and you have been kind enough to come. Now, therefore, we are all here in the presence of Elohim to hear all that you have been commanded by the master. So this is to show that Elohim visited the nations. This is where Elohim did this. This is where God did this. So there's the answer right there. It's Acts 10.
Go to the part 2 where it says, I'm not supposed to sit. I'm not supposed to be with a person from another nation.
So that was before that. That. So it says verse 25, when Peter entered, Cornelius met him and fell down at his feet and worshiped him. But Peter lifted up his eyes and saying, stand up, for I'm to a man. And he talked with him, and he went and found many persons gathered. And he, Peter, said to them, you yourself know how unlawful it is for a Jew to associate or to visit another of another nation. But Elohim has shown me that I should not call any person common or unclean. So when I sent forth, I came without objection. I asked them, why you sent for me? Now he's asking, why did you send for me? And then Cornelius tells him, 4 days ago, Elohim visited me. There it is.
Okay, here's my retort. My first question is this right here. Has God cast away his people that he foreknew? Israelites?
No, he hasn't. Not whatsoever.
Okay, so if God has not cast away his people he foreknew, why would he then go to the non-Israelites to go take a people out for his name when he already had people for his name, and that you agreed just now he has not cast them away? They're still his people. So now what you're saying is that he's now going to have a completely outside nation. We're going to have two nations now.
I'm about to answer it. Hold on.
His original people. Brother, you got to stop cutting me off, bro.
Sorry, my fault, bro.
You throwing my whole train of thought off now when you do that.
Why would God do that if he didn't throw away the nation? Why would God add in another nation?
So now
just trying to help you with your thought process. I'm trying to help you with your thought process. You know what you were saying.
What he's saying, if he's going to go at this time, he had Israel already. He ain't cast them away; they're still his people. But now he's going to the nations in the time of Peter to go to the non-Israelite to get another people for his name. So now you're going to have two people for his name: the original and these other people that comes out of the other nations. Now, are you guys saying that?
Yes. So in terms to answer your question, yes, because blindness in part has to come upon Israel so the fullness of the nations can come in. Even it talks about Ephraim is going to be the completeness of the nations. Ephraim is going to be compiled of different types of people, different nations, right? So you have those two aspects, but they're all being engrafted, as we see, into the same tree, being grafted to the same olive tree. So, and we also have a lot of other things to show that the Most High had, in all honesty, prior to Israel, all he had to deal was with nations, with individuals from different nations. Balaam was from a different nation, but he was a prophet of the Most High. He was an Israelite. Of course, Abraham. He wasn't himself an Israelite. So that's to answer your question, that he is taking individuals from these particular nations and he is bringing them in to the household of Elohim, or the household of the Commonwealth of Israel, as stated in Ephesians 2.
And if I can add too, we talk. What did we do? What has Israel done to deserve salvation? We killed the prophets. We rejected and killed Christ. And the Most High still, even with using the Gentiles, trying to provoke Israel to jealousy to call them back in.
Yeah, I was getting ready to go there.
It's still a methodology of trying to call Israel back in. But we standing here acting like we deserve something. Like he don't deserve, like he don't want to move, like he can't move on, man. Man, you tripping. We ain't did nothing right. We ain't kept none of the Torah. We done broke all the covenants. It's only his grace and mercy. And we sitting here trying to manipulate the text to man.
He stated, He stated, I didn't choose you.
I think what you understand is that you don't understand that contract that was made with Israel is an everlasting contract.
You broke it.
Temporary.
What does it mean you broke the covenant? What is that? When you break the covenant? What does that mean?
He renewed it.
He renewed it when?
Jeremiah 31:31.
So
you renewed it. So you're saying that you still missing the point. If what you say why renew then? If what you're saying is as you making it sound like that, why renew it with them then?
Okay, so can I ask a couple of questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when Israel left Egypt, was it just genetic Israelites or was it a mixed multitude of people?
There was a mixed multitude of people there.
When they were at the mountain, did he say Israel and the mixed multitude, or did he call them all Israel?
He just mentioned Israel.
You didn't answer my question, though. I didn't ask what he mentioned. No, because I asked, did he call them all Israel? You said he just mentioned Israel. I'm saying, did he call them all Israel? Or did he say Israel and the mixed multitude?
No, he didn't call them all Israel, no.
So can you show me where he addressed the mixed multitude separate from the Israelites at the mountain?
Numbers 11. It separates them.
You broke off. You said Numbers what?
Still separating them from the.
You said Numbers what?
Numbers 11.
Numbers 11 and what?
Numbers chapter 11.
Chapter 11. Okay.
4.
Give me 1 second. And 4. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So if we go to Numbers chapter 11 and 4, this is not the Most High talking, and this is not the mountain. So I'm asking specifically, where can you show me? Because this right here is the rabble. After they moved on, they are currently at Taberah, which is not the mountain. Taberah is not the mountain. I am asking at Horeb in Sinai, where did the Most High address the mixed multitude separate from Israel?
That's why initially, that's why I said to you, he only mentioned Israel.
I got you. So when did he address the mixed multitude separate from Israel? Because when I asked you the question again, you said
Numbers 11.
Numbers 11 is not at the mountain. I'm asking specifically at the mountain. They have to be in Sinai. Taberah is not the mountain.
You gotta listen, brother. One more time. I'm gonna go slow because you're missing it. I'm gonna go real slow, right? I'm gonna go real slow.
You don't have to go slow.
Your real question is at the mountain, yes or no, correct?
Yes.
At the mountain, I responded to you and said he only mentioned Israel, yes or no?
Yes. But you didn't answer my question.
Okay. At the mountain, in the text, it only mentions Israel. It does not mention Israel and the other nation. It only mentioned Israel. You asked again. You said you didn't answer my question. You said, did he mention all of them together as Israel? I responded to you and said no. You said, then you asked, you said, where did he separate them? Where did he separate them differently? Right? And
at
then
the
you establishing at the mountain. Hear what I'm saying to you, right? Because initially I'm telling you that at the mountain, it doesn't mention that it says Israel on the other nation. At the mountain, it only mentioned Israel. I'm saying after the mountain incident, we see here in Numbers 11 that there is separation there after the mountain.
Okay, cool. But that's after the mountain. And that is specifically talking about a specific incident that occurred, right? In which, yes, it would make sense that the people who were not, well, they weren't Israelites. We can't assume they weren't slaves. Some of them might have been slaves and under different nations and just decided to leave. But that's a specific incident that was occurring. I'm speaking about the mountain. And the reason why I'm speaking about the mountain specifically is because a mixed multitude left with Israel. You're assuming that because he only says Israel, he wasn't talking to the multitude of the people. He was only talking to people that are Israelites. What I'm saying is he spoke to the multitude. He didn't say only to the Israelites, you multitude, whatever. He never mentioned them. We both agree he never mentioned them. But he spoke to the multitude. Foreigners, non-Israelites, were in the multitude. Now, if you want to say later on they got burnt up in the Numbers 11, okay, whatever. I would disagree with that as well, but that's a different conversation. What my point is, at the mountain, he spoke to the multitude. He called them all Israel. The argument that the only real difference between the Tanakh and the New Testament in terms of Gentiles is that in the New Testament, you actually are kind of talking to everybody. And obviously, we want to get Israelites, but we're talking to everybody. In the original covenant, we're specifically dealing with Israel. Gentiles have always been allowed in. It's just whether they're a focus or not.
Our question to you are when we came out of Israel, when we came out of Israel, did God separate Israelites and the mixed multitude?
When we came out of Egypt, no, that's my point.
Yeah, he didn't. So he didn't say that a mixed multitude came out with them.
Well, the text says a mixed multitude came out with them, but the Most High at the mountain never made a distinction. He just called them all Israel.
We got to the mountain yet. I'm going to back up for you because I think you're making a point that's irrelevant. So I'm gonna start from the beginning because you're making it seem like at the mountain he brought them all together, and I'm establishing the point when they came out of Egypt, he separated them from his people by mentioning that they came out with his people.
No, that's the text. That's the narrative. That's the narrative letting you know that there was a distinction. It wasn't just Israelites. There was also a mixed multitude. He himself is not saying you all are the mixed multitude. That's not happening.
So you say so who's saying that?
The writer of the text.
Which is who?
Most people say traditionally Moses.
Okay, is Moses speaking his own words or is speaking God's words?
In this case, Moses is relating what happened.
So when Moses separated them, is that from him or is that from God?
That's what happened. That's not like a prophecy or something. That's just the
You're not answering
no.
the question. You're not answering the question. One more time. The question is, when Moses separated them from Israel, is that from Moses or that's from God?
That's from Moses. Now we could say that Moses wrote that. We could say that Moses was inspired by the Ruach, or he wrote that under the influence of the Ruach. Sure, but that is not to say that the Most High himself made that distinction. That is showing that Moses, through inspiration or through influence, essentially was saying, this is what happened. That's important to the narrative, but that's not a separation in the sense of the Most High saying, see, this is Israel, and that's not what's happening there. In that case, you would be reading something into the text that it doesn't say. It's just telling you the narrative.
So if the Ruach told him to separate them, is the Ruach speaking the words of God to Moses?
No, that's not how influence works. It's not a dictation.
I'm done. I'm done.
All right.
Okay, I'm cool. We can move on. Good, we can move on.
I would say that the mixed multitude heard, you should be a nation of priests to me because all the world is mine. They heard the Most High speak, not only Israel, but the mixed multitude as well. They all heard the words that were at Mount Sinai, everybody, and they all said, all that you say that I will do. They all said it. Everybody that was there, that was present during that time period.
Hey, listen, it's cool. If that's what you guys believe, it's cool because because in Nehemiah time, they clearly separated. When they read the Torah, it said they separated the mixed multitude from Israel. That's in Nehemiah time. So when they understood the Torah in Nehemiah time, when the priests in Nehemiah time read the Torah, they separated from Israel any mixed people. So they understood what the Torah is saying. They're saying Torah is telling us to separate mixed people from Israel. We see this clearly in Nehemiah's time. So we see
what was going on during Nehemiah's time was a little different than what was going on during that time.
It's coming out of Babylon, man.
I'm giving you what our forefathers understood the Torah to be saying.
I understand, but what was happening in Nehemiah's time was different than what was happening at the time of coming out of the Exodus. It was two different things going on. Number one, in Nehemiah's time, they had the Torah, and in the time of the Exodus, they hadn't been given the Torah yet. That's the first thing, and that's pretty significant. The second thing is, when they were coming out of Babylon, remember, not everybody went to Babylon. The poor of the land was left, and you also had people in Babylon that were coming back. When it says they were mixed, it wasn't just talking about different nationalities. You had people doing all sorts of stuff that was just not Torah because it wasn't their culture, and they were mixed in with the Israelites. That's the separation that had to occur. These are not people that were wanting to serve the Most High and wanting to be with Israel. These are people that were worshiping Baal or some other god and doing all kinds of other stuff. That's the separation that had to occur. It's a different thing that's going on in Nehemiah.
Yeah. Also,
my question, as a question, can a non-Israelite be king in Israel?
No.
Why not?
Well, let me take that back. A non-Israelite is not supposed to be put as king by the people.
Okay.
That's what it said.
Does the Torah specifically say it has to be from your brethren? Does it say that?
Yeah, it says that
in terms of how you're selecting your king. Yeah, it has to be from your brother.
The people have to select that from their brother.
Okay, so those are all Israelites, yes or no?
Wait, what?
Are those all Israelites from your brethren?
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay, so the text is saying that a non-Israelite cannot be king then.
No, it's saying that you cannot select it. And I'm specifically saying that because, as we were talking about earlier, Antiochus Epiphanes ruled over that area. He was a king over that area. There have been lots of kings over that area. They just were not elected by their brothers. They were kings by force.
A king in Israel.
They were kings in Israel. They were just kings by force. They were part of an empire. So that's why I made that's why I got specific and granular with that.
Okay. All right. So
you think Herod was an Israelite, brother?
So can a non-Israelite be king over the nation of Israel?
We're
You
not
think
supposed to elect
Herod was
them.
an
No.
Israelite?
No.
He was king in Israel.
He was king.
That's why I
Why are
said
we
that.
having this
Yeah,
conversation?
brother, that's why. Listen, brother, I want to make it very clear. The question you asked, I wanted to get very granular with it. I understand what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but we need to make the distinction between what the Torah says, which is that we're not supposed to elect them, or not necessarily elect. That's a bad word. We're not supposed to select them versus they just can't be king of the land. What it says is we're not supposed to select them. That's why I worded it that way, because that's what the text says. I'm just being literal with the text. That's all. So I'm not trying to, that's not something I will go back and forth about. I'm just being literal with the text. That's it.
No, but again, but you're making a claim that at the mountain, he's grouping them all together. Is what this claim you was making at first. I'm showing you that the Torah itself, it's separating them. How can he group them together at the mountain? Then later on, when the Torah comes down to Moses and he give it to Israel, it says that if you're not from the nation of Israel, you can't be king.
Cool. Was David 100% Israelite, or did he have some Moabite in him?
He's as far as I understand, he's 100% Israelite.
Wasn't Ruth his grandmother, great grandmother?
Great. I don't know how much great you're going to put on there, because when I did the timeline, there is a 405-year gap between Ruth and David.
It could be 1,000,000 years. The point is, he descended from her, which means he is not 100% Israelite.
If there's a 400-year gap, then I can say that he's 100% Israelite. Nothing to do with Ruth. That's 400 years has passed.
No. If you're going to say he's 100% Israelite, that means every person who goes up his family tree would have to be Israelite. That's what I'm asking. So that's what I'm saying. The time period does not matter. If he has any connection to anybody that is not an Israelite, he's not 100%.
So wait a minute. Let me understand.
Okay, no problem.
If someone, I want to understand, right? If someone marries outside the nation, right?
Okay.
And they have a children, and children is mixed, correct?
Yep.
And then that children from that point marries back into only Israelites.
Yep.
And it's been 400 years of them marrying back. It's been 400 years they've been marrying back into the nation of Israel. So every child after that is only marrying back into the nation of Israel. You telling me that 400 years later that he still has Gentile blood inside of him?
Yes, to a degree. Now, I'm not saying he's full Gentile. Not saying that. What I'm saying is that it's still there. It's still present. It just doesn't go away. That's not how it works.
Got you. No problem. Okay, that's cool. No problem. I'm just saying that when I read the Torah, the Torah talks about there's certain things that Israelites cannot eat, but we can give that to the other nations to eat. You know what I'm saying? We can sell it to other nations to eat. You know what I'm saying? So they're clear distinct Torah against
one other
let's try to
thing
get closing remarks in here, man, and wrap this thing up.
Okay, can I just address that really fast?
Closing subject. Go ahead.
Okay. So with that, you do need to, this goes back to the context. You do need to learn the difference between a Gentile, or let's just use a person who's not the nation, who actually fully converts in, versus a Gentile who's, let's say, living in Israel. They're not fully converted in, but they're just living there, right? And they're just doing business there. They're doing whatever. You got to recognize the distinction between those two. Because for the person that's just living there, they're not following Torah, they're not part of the God, they're just living in the land, doing whatever, and they're peaceful in the land. Those are the ones that you could sell, let's say, like a dead animal to, right? Or those are the ones that if you had meat, that unclean meat, you could give that to them. But to the one that is fully converted in, they're to be treated as a native of the land. You can't do that to them. So there is a distinction there. All right, I'm done.
Anybody else? Any closing remarks?
Oh yeah, I said Because I want to first give all praise to the Most High, Bashima Mashiach Awashai, brother Fenice. I want to thank you for having me come on and speak my piece. I definitely want to say shalom to the other two brothers for their input as well. Obviously, I disagree. The things they're saying, their stance is that God, I guess, it's been almost 2,000 years since the incident with Peter. So I guess by now there is two nations that God has. God has Israel and some other nations. I don't know who they are, because since God went to the Gentiles to get people for His name, at least almost 2,000 years by now, we should at least have these people that God went to go get. Cornelius. So I've not read nothing about these people anywhere in Revelations, in the prophecies, in our time, after our time. I don't see them in 144,000. I don't see their names nowhere in the city. This other nation of people that God went and got for His name. I don't see any of that there. But that's the doctrine that they believe. They said God went to get another people for His name in the first century, because He ain't cast away His first people. So there's two people, according to their understanding, that has the Most High God's name. Again, you know my stance about the Gentile proselytes. To me, the word proselyte is just a convert. If someone that's, I would consider Paul a convert. Paul was a Pharisee who went by oral Torah. Christ came to him and converted him to the belief in Him. He would be considered a convert, because he converted from his ways of oral Torah and hunting down Jesus Christ's followers to now supporting them and teaching them in the Messiah. Because the word proselyte simply just mean a convert. People today just think when they see the word proselyte, they automatically get in their mind non-Israelites, which is incorrect. An Israelite can be considered a convert. In many texts in the Bible, it talks about Galilee of the Gentiles. If we literally stick to what that text is saying, then you're saying that in Galilee, that the apostles who were Galileans, then would be considered non-Israelites, because the text called Galilee of the Gentiles, Gentile. So if the apostles are Galileans from there, are they non-Israelites? If we're going to go to Texas, so we have to go ahead and go back and do some deeper study and understand where these words come from, what these words mean, and to put it in context to what things are saying. And my last thing is that I don't believe Christ gave any commission to go to everybody. As I brought out, it would violate Deuteronomy 23 and Numbers 24. And again, we see the Israelites were still teaching Jews only after Stephen died. They were still teaching the Israelites only. And from that point, they're saying, well, then later on, then they switched and said, no, let's stop doing Jews only, and let's include the Gentiles, even though that's after the commission of Christ. These ones at that point would have been clearly violating Christ's commission, which these men were taught by the apostles. These men were teaching Jews only. The apostles taught them. So they obviously were teaching what the apostles taught them. So if Christ told the apostles to go to everybody, why are they teaching these Jews here to teach Israelites only? If they're saying, well, these brothers are going off script. They're going off script doing their own thing. They want to just teach Israelite only on their own. They're burning up proofs on to prove that these brothers went off script. Why would they go off script? What made them go off script? But I don't see why you make them go off script if they're following the apostles' doctrine. That's what they was. And with that, I'd say shalom.
All right. One thing I gotta say, well, actually, I gotta say a couple of things. But whether you are studied or versed in the Hebrew or the Lashon Kadash, you need to understand there are three different types of strangers in the Old Testament. You have the ger or the gar, you have the toshav or the tashab, and then you also have the nikar or the nakar. The ger is the one that in Exodus 12, this is the one that is one law for the stranger and for the native born, right? So this one is among you. This one you are to treat as an Israelite. The toshav, this is the one that is a stranger or a foreigner that is around the land. This is the one that's outside your gates. You can give the unclean food to. You can give the food that has died of itself. You can give them this. This is the one, the toshav, is you can get possessions from in terms of their sons and their daughters. You can get servants from it. This is the Toshab. This is not the Ger. This is not the one that's within your gates. This is the one that's outside your gates. And then you also have the Neker. The Neker is the one that's stated in, I believe it's Exodus. No, excuse me, not Exodus. Isaiah 56, I want to say. The son of the stranger, let the son of the stranger not say that that Yahuwah has separated me from his people. This is a Neker. This is one that is completely outside the land, not living in the land. Let's say living in a whole different country. This is also stated in 2 Chronicles 6:32 and 1 Kings 8:41. This is the prayer of Solomon, where he says, also the foreigner or the Neker who is not of your people Israel, but has come from a distant land because of your name. Same exact verbiage as in Isaiah 56. And then also in Ezekiel 47, you have the Ger, the one that is from somebody else. This one is attached to whatever tribe he sojourns. He gets an inheritance with the children of Israel. So we have three different types of strangers, and also I've given 2 or more precepts to prove this point. So if you want to stick with the English, then you're going to get confused on stranger, 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 and you're going to stay at that surface level. If you want to get a better understanding, then you're going to have to understand the Hebrew. You're going to have to go into it because it's going to give you a clear understanding of what the text is saying. So with that, I land. Shalom, shalom.
Yeah, I'll try to be as fast as possible. So in terms of what we were saying, our belief is that, yes, obviously he's the Elohim of Israel. He deals with Israel as a nation. Individuals from other nations can be grafted into Israel. That has always been the case. Now, again, in the case point of the Tanakh, you had individuals who were joining essentially freely, but in this new time period, because so many Israelites have been broken off of the branch because of the things that we have done, and because a lot of our people do not truly accept the Messiah and Torah, those Gentiles who are willing to do that are grafted in, right? And you can see in Paul's writings where he talks about the natural branches versus the wild branches, and don't both be boastful because the natural branches could be easily grafted back in. That's essentially what he's talking about. We are not saying that there's 2 different groups of people. I've never claimed 144,000 was Gentiles, but we do see after that, we see a mix of great multitude that nobody can number of all tribes and languages. And y'all know what it says after that, after the 144,000. You have plenty of individuals, both in Tanakh and the New Testament, who were not native born Israelites who served the Most High. And in many cases, they even came into the covenant, were given things great. Even in Jeremiah, you see an Ethiopian who the Most High says he's making a covenant specifically with, because he saved Jeremiah out of the pit that the king of Israel threw him in. So, yeah, there's just a lot of things I could say. I'll land with one last thing, which is when you go into the New Testament time period and you look at what the Yahudim were teaching, in general, this is across the board. They had a doctrine very similar to what a lot of the camps have. It's not exactly the same, but very similar, where essentially being born an Israelite puts you in the covenant, and therefore you are good to go. And a Gentile, if they wanted to come into that covenant, they had to go through a very, very, very rigorous and strict process that essentially ended in circumcision. And that, well, not necessarily ended in circumcision, but that was a big part of that process, was circumcision. Acts 15 is specifically talking about that issue. The reason why they would not be talking to or teaching Gentiles is because they were still coming out of that frame of mind that all Jews at that time were thinking, which is, if a Gentile wants to come in here, they got to prove themselves. And that is, if that's your mindset, you're not going to go to these people. You're going to keep talking to the people that you already know, right? That would be the reason why. And that also explains Acts 15, the situation there. They need to get circumcised right now because circumcision is what got you into the covenant, where circumcision is not what gets you in. It's the sign of the covenant. That was the issue in Acts 15. Again, because they were trying to get them to convert immediately according to Jewish standards. Then when you read Galatians, it puts Galatians in more context of what's going on. But I'll land with that.
I'll praise like, well, you know, we couldn't get through Acts 15 in this. It's so much more. Like I said, I got the slideshow. Nobody's navigated it besides the brothers from Bread and Wine. It's the only group that's come up and tried to navigate it. You know, brother gave some examples. Yeah, Jeremiah 35 with the Rechabites. Even them coming in. Achior the Ammonite in the book of Judah. And him becoming a Jew. The Esther and them becoming Jews. It's just a, go ahead.
You know, 2 Kings with I can't remember the guy's name. He had leprosy and he had to dip himself in the river 7 times.
Naaman.
Yeah, Naaman.
Naaman taking the dirt bag with him to worship them up. Like it's a plethora of information. But like I say, we not even, I can't even get to that stuff because we can't even navigate through Acts. Like we don't have an understanding. For me, I'm seeing that we don't have an understanding of just narrative, just understanding that the Gospels is a story. And we have to read the story. You need to know the story. You can't just stop at certain places. You can't stop at Matthew 15:24, where it says, don't go into the way of the Gentiles, nor into the city of Samaria. Only go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. You can't stop there. And then you have to say that he's saying something different in Matthew 8:28-19, when he's saying going to all nations. When he just told you don't go to the Gentile areas. Don't go to Samaria. But it's not that he's saying something different. It's just a story. This is a different time frame. It's a different command. It's further instructions. Okay, now I want you to do this. And now I want you to do this. But if we can't grasp that, and well, why he said this and then he didn't say, if we can't grasp, man, we can't. It's hard to even have the dialogue. It's hard to even have the dialogue. You know, even Caleb. You know,
not me.
You know, it's a lot. It's a lot dealing with these Gentiles. You said not you. You don't believe Caleb was a
no. My
Gentile?
name is Caleb. My name is Caleb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Caleb the Kenizzite. Yeah, he was definitely not an Israelite.
But come on, like it's, and that's what I'm saying. And yeah, like you said, the Ethiopian, even Christ, when he says, he's not a prophet is not welcome in his own home, and then he gave these examples of all of these people that were hungry, but Elijah was only sent to this heathen woman and her son, and all the lepers that were in that was in Jerusalem, but he was only sent to this heathen Assyrian leper to heal him. Like, and this narrative is being built up throughout the text to an ultimate climax, all the way to Stephen, and to Cornelius and the sheet coming down, and we missing that. Like if we're not saying it, what are we saying that sheet is? What are you saying that represents? What people do that represent? And then at the same time, we're saying that the northern kingdom is there. And we're seeing in Acts 2 where all of these people, all of these synagogues are all over the place. They're spreading Torah everywhere. Everywhere these people going is a synagogue. They ain't just out there, oh, well, we just don't know what to do. We just lost Torah. We forget it. And then when my brother was speaking on the Galilee of the Gentiles, you got to know the history of Galilee. That place was uninhabited for many centuries, up to like the first century. I think one of the Hasmonean kings re-inhabited that land and put Jews back in there. The narrative is they were mocking those Jews. They didn't trust those Jews, stupid Galileans. You just as foolish as these Galileans. You believe that mess? Don't nothing good come out of Nazareth? That trash? Because they were far from Torah. They were far from Jerusalem. And there were a lot of Galilee, a lot of Gentiles were there. Why? Because it's trade and export. They controlled all of those places. Caesarea. Brothers will say, well, Caesarea was in Israel. And no. Caesarea was built by Herod and was a gift to Caesar in a port city. We read about Joppa. It's a port city. It's bringing in exports, imports, bringing in that tax money. But there's so many levels to this thing that, man, if we getting stuck on if Simon is Peter, man, you know, I got to pray for more patience. But I definitely appreciate the brother coming on, and he's one of the few brothers. So I got to salute him for that, because he's one of the few brothers who do come on and do be in the comments and do watch and do comment every now and then. And he ain't just going to go. If it don't make sense to him, he ain't just going to go. And I can respect that. And it should be that way. Until you see it, you see it. You know what I'm saying? And don't just go with it because, you know, it's your favorite YouTuber or whatever the case. You know, until you see it, you know, don't deal with it. And that's why I hate people asking me, or I dislike people asking in the comments, well, who you say it is? And who you know, you need to do the work. You need to see it for yourself. And that's what got us in the predicament that we're in now. And that's why we're having to navigate this thing now and try to unravel some of this doctrine, because we just accepted it, seen it. We seen these brothers teaching and we just ate it. We wrote it down. We made our precept packets and we just ate it. And now we having to unravel that. And that's what I'm, you know, that's one of the main things we're doing here on this channel. You know, of course, with the lessons, the Wednesday lessons, so forth, but we're unraveling this thing. All right, we're unraveling it. I done taught it for over a decade. So there's very few things you're going to come to me and tell me about One West Israelism that I haven't taught. Very few things. And that's why a lot of people don't deal with me. I got everybody number. I got Deacon number, Captain Tazaryak. I done messaged him. He done messaged me on a few videos. Everybody got the contact. Now, you know, and I just leave it at that. But you know, I appreciate everybody coming in. I appreciate the dialogue, the back and forth, bread and wine. I definitely appreciate y'all stopping in. Amayan, I appreciate you too, brother. In the chat, I appreciate y'all being respectful. Some of the ad hominems need to come down just a tad, but everybody was respectful, and I definitely appreciate y'all for that. Again, pray this thing was edifying. We'll see y'all on the next one. Shalom, shalom.
Hey, brother Finn, before you go, hello.
Go ahead, out.
Hey, is it possible I can have a conversation with those brothers from Bread and Wine?
Oh yeah, man, get their contact.
Yeah,
that's on them.
Is it possible, brothers, we can have a dialogue maybe on you guys channel, my something?
Yeah, no doubt. Let me put. I'm about to put in the chat our email. Just send us an email, and we can go on from there whenever you get a chance. Aki, if that's okay with you.
Come.
All right, hold on. Let me make sure. All right, you see that? You see that in the chat, not in the YouTube, in the StreamYard.
Let me switch back right quick.
Copy.
Some reason is moving in slow motion. I know Brother Phoenix is trying to get out of here. He tried to go.
Nah, y'all good.
I got it. I copied it. So I'm gonna meet y'all up.
All right, bet. That works, Aki. Shalom.
All right, brother. Shalom.
All right, shalom, Brother Phineas.
Shalom, y'all.
Shalom, Aki.